Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900 and always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch.
That's right.
Jimmy B. On Fox Sports 910.
Welcome into a Football Friday. Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B. Dan Manuch alongside Jackson Groff, the intern, filling in for the boys this afternoon. Out here live at Wright Toyota. Jax, you doing all right over there, buddy?
Yeah, I got brought up from the practice squad. Got the call this morning. Excited to be here.
Got brought up for the minors. Going to be out here till 4 o'clock this afternoon. And as the big voice guy said, we are presented by Lerner and Rowe, voted the best personal injury law firm in the land. Got a great show planned for you this afternoon. Besides talking about the Cardinals finally, 362 days, getting a home victory over the Saints last night. Michael Bankston, former defensive lineman for the Arizona Cardinals, will join us here at 1:30. Get his thoughts in watching this defense, who I quite frankly think, Jax, is really the strong point for getting this team back into games and helping them win games. And if it wasn't for this defense, I think that the JV team, that being the New Orleans Saints, could have had a chance at winning this game. And if not for one Andy Dalton, where the hell are you throwing the ball, man? Get your eyes up. Stop telegraphing. Stop telling everybody, look, I'm throwing that dig route right now. So, hey, Swiss Army knife, Isaiah Simmons, I'm coming right there. And then the other one was Callaway. He just dropped it from there. And a couple of throws in the end zone. Where the hell are you throwing the ball, man? Take the points. Anyways, we'll get into that. Also, Scott Spreitzer will join us at 2:30. We'll look at a couple of NFL games, some of the college games, and we'll get that handicapping all going on. Also got Ben back at the studio. Ben, you doing okay back there? All good in the hood back there?
I'm good. I'm just holding it down over here. Got to keep you guys on track. I got a harder test today with keeping a practice squad guy in check, but I'll do my best.
You're talking about Jax, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it's like to be a practice squad guy. I've just been a pro since day one.
I see what he's doing. So it'll be that kind of day, Jax.
Hey, it's all right. I can take the heat, I guess.
There you go. All right, let's see all the top stories going on here on a Friday.
Time for the top local and national stories of the hour. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's no better place in the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
That's right. The top stories are brought to you by the new Sportsbook in CAZ Sports Bar, now open at Casino, Arizona. By the way, take the points. We'll be going on with one Jackson Groff. You and Mike Gross tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
11-1.
11-1, CAZ Sports Bar. A lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about today as well.
Oh, we sure do. We're going to talk a lot about this Cardinals team as the 8-game home losing streak is finally over. Let that marinate a little bit, Jax. 8-game home losing streak. Finally over. I think they said 362 days. Ooh. They hold off the Saints and literally held them off there at the end, 42-34 in last night's victory in Glendale. Kyler Murray, 204 yards and a touchdown. Again, like I talk about, the defense posted back-to-back pick sixes at the end of the first half. The Cards now at 3-4 on the season. If not for the pick sixes, Andy Dalton was hot. Opening drive, go down, the touchdown pass to Rashid, undrafted free agent. Where do you play at?
Weber State, Big Sky School, Weber State. He actually has the FCS record for kickoff returns.
So there's a few athletes that come out of the Big Sky once in a while. The big fella.
Every so often, I guess.
Just your initial thoughts watching that first half, and then bang, bang, the 2 pick sixes.
Yeah, I mean,
back to back.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work on for this offense. I think third down wise, I believe they were 3 of 10 from third down in red zone.
Wasn't good.
Yeah, still struggling from the red zone and third down. But I mean, besides the 3 interceptions, I thought this wasn't the defense's best performance last night. I mean, obviously you got 3 interceptions, you got 2 touchdowns, but 0 sacks, definitely an issue. The pass rush, and with no pass rush comes a lot of time for Andy Dalton to find Olave, find Callaway, find Kevin White. I mean, Kevin White, who would have thought Kevin White, former 7th round pick, 64-yard catch. And I believe he only had 63 yards receiving before that.
Well, and the one thing what you bring up there, Jack, very opportunistic defense to get the picks, and the impact was to score off the interceptions. I'm like you. Where was the pass rush? Andy Dalton, if not that opening drive for them in the third quarter, they get 3. They get 7 points out of that. We got a game going into the pretty much. It might have been tied up. They don't get the onside kick, but I will say this: to come back, that's where I felt very fortunate that the Cardinals got the pick sixes. Otherwise, this might have been the Saints running away with this game.
Yeah, and I was listening to some PHNX last night, and Bo Brock was saying how you can tell D-Hop's being that leader after the game. Marco, Isaiah Simmons were kind of high on their interceptions, kind of happy about it, obviously, and they deserve to be so. But he said, hey, remember that touchdown you let up? Remember that one play you let up? So kind of keeping these Cardinals level-headed. It's great win. Being 3-4 is better than 2-5, but a lot to go as they play Minnesota.
Well, speaking of D-Hop, he racked up 10 catches for 103 yards. Connor, as we know, missed his second straight game with the rib injury. And Hollywood Brown and Justin Pugh, Jax, officially on the IR. So Pugh's out the rest of the year. It sounds as if Hollywood's going to be out for the rest of the year unless some things can happen with that foot. Couple big blows there because we were so anxious to see Hollywood Brown, Rondell Moore, and then D-Hop, going at it together. Now, Robbie Anderson had to come in for Hollywood Brown with the trade. But again, I would have loved to have seen that trio, if you will. Rondell Moore, the one big catch off the scramble.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool to see.
Yeah, it was. I'm still waiting to see when they're going to get that kid on track. But D-Hop, the 10 catches, and you figured he'd get anywhere from 8 to 10 catches. What they charted him, 14 times last night?
Yeah,
12 to 14 times. But we'll get into that more in the second segment. We'll get a chance to break it all down. Well, while the game was going on, nice little trade that's going to help one of the NFC
just
West.
A little trade.
Just a little trade. Just a little something here. Looks like Christian McCaffrey is going back to the Bay Area. That's right. He's traded for 3 draft picks. Carolina Panthers are trading him to the San Francisco 49ers. And it's interesting, Jags, because the odds of the Niners going from the to the Super Bowl went from 16-1 to 14-1. Break it down what Carolina is getting with all these draft picks. We saw Robbie Anderson come to the Cardinals. They gave him, a 6th and a 7th rounder for next year. And now they're getting a little jam going back that Carolina way.
Yeah, it's crazy for a running back, too. Usually a running back that has had injury promises, injury stuff in the past as well. But the Panthers, they get a 2nd-round pick in 2023, a 3rd-round pick in 2023, a 4th-round pick in 2023, as well as a 5th-round pick in 24. So they get 3 picks in this next upcoming draft, which if you're the Panthers, you're rebuilding, I think this is a win for them personally.
You're getting those picks for a banged-up veteran running back. For a running back. Now, when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the league. Catching, running, but he's banged up. He gets banged up. But it's basically San Francisco seems a little desperate to make this move. Jimmy B called this. He said, hey, look, they're going to probably end up trading Christian McCaffrey. I said, well, he's kind of a stalwart.
Yeah.
I don't know where he goes, but it kind of made sense. Robbie Anderson gone, Christian McCaffrey gone. How many guys in Carolina lined up? Hey, you can get rid of me too. I'll go for a 5th and a 6th rounder.
Yeah.
Those guys are like, how about me? Then there's Baker Mayfield going, what the hell? Of course, he got traded.
Yeah.
And then there's Sam Darnold going, I'm happy I'm here. So for all instances, it sucks for the Cardinals because San Francisco, I think, has got the best defense. I don't think they got the best offense right now. But this will enhance their offense in the back.
I wonder how they'll change their offense because Debo was that running back type for him as well as receiver. I wonder if they kind of isolate him as the receiver or if they kind of have a backfield with Samuel and McCaffrey, maybe have McCaffrey out in the slot as well. It'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, I heard Brian Burns' name's out there as well to get traded. He's a defensive lineman from the Panthers as well, maybe Derek Brown. I think the Panthers are just kind of clear housing right now, understanding that the season's over. At least they're doing it now, so when teams face them, they know, okay, they're not just a bad team; they're trying to lose.
Yeah, you got Coach Wilkes, who's the interim head coach, going, okay,
3 minutes.
I'm just going to play with what I basically have at this point. Suns, first road trip of the season in Portland against the Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers tonight, coming off their 107-105 comeback win over Dallas on Wednesday. Last night, the Yotes, now 1-3. Montreal beats them 6-2. At one point in the game, it was 5-0. Other news, looks like defenseman Jacob Chikrin, who led the NHL in goals at his position 2 years ago, wants to be traded. That doesn't doesn't surprise me once or another. I wants to get moved to a situation where he can go have a chance at winning the cup. I get it. I understand. I mean, it's like this is like probably half the guys on that Yotes team right now. I should say half the veterans. If Clayton Keller was to make that publicly, I think the Yotes would go, Clayton, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You've got to be our guy. Sun Devils taking on Stanford. Speaking of on the farm, at 4 o'clock on the Pac-12 network. Maybe the Devils can garner some of that momentum in beating Washington 2 weeks ago. You just hope they didn't lose some of that juice, and not have to knock the rust off the first quarter or two against Stanford.
Yeah, they had a bye week last week too, so it'll be interesting to see if they go Emory Jones or if they go with Bourget in this one. Bourget, the one that beats Washington 2 weeks ago. It seems like a long time ago that the Sun Devils haven't played, but they're actually underdogs in this matchup. I believe it's 3.5 right now. Stanford, the home dogs, coming off of a win against Notre Dame.
Last but not least, the Astros go up 2-0 in the American League Championship Series. The Phillies are set to host the Padres tonight. Alex Bregman, big night yesterday. Here's Alex Bregman going yard in last night's game.
He's got 2 on at the corners here in the third. And Bregman sends one deep to left. It is back and it is gone. A 3-run poke. Alex Bregman puts the Stros on the board in the third inning.
Damn, their pitching's amazing.
1 minute.
There go the Astros. Elsewhere, the Phillies will host the Padres today as they look to take back the edge in the National League Championship Series. San Diego Storm back Game 2, 8-5 after Philadelphia went up 4-0 early. Nice comeback by the Padres. The Phillies send Ranger Suarez to the mound, while the Padres turn to Joe Musgrove. Again, that is brought to you by the new sportsbook and CAZ Sports Bar, now open at Casino Arizona. Take the points tomorrow. Jackson Grocer going from 11-1. Hey, are you in need of a new patio grill set for your backyard? Your chance to win one is now. Just text PEAKS to 55678. That's PEAKS to 55678, and you'll be the entry to win a customized backyard grill patio set courtesy of Twin Peaks, Blue Moon, and Coors Light. You can enter once a day. Standard message data rates apply. Well, once again, the Cardinals defense came up big to lead the charge over the Saints. But is there a rift going with Cliff and Kyler? What? We'll dive into that next. I'm Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910 live from Wright Toyota.
6-time Sports 910. You're on the right Toyota phone line. Check it out for yourself at righttoyota.com. The right price, the right selection. Right Toyota.
You guys are hot.
Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B out here, right Toyota. Manuch alongside Jax. Ben back there spinning all the tunes. 42-34, the Cardinals win. Got a little interesting there at the end of the game, did it not? Yeah. And here comes Andy Dalton and the Saints, and hey, they're one onside kick, a touchdown, 2-point conversion from tying this bad boy up.
Yeah, a little too close there for comfort. I mean, got to do something in the second half for the Cardinals if you're going to maintain that lead. And obviously they did. They scored 2 touchdowns in the second half, but man, I got a little nervous in the fourth quarter there.
I will say this: they're up. That being the Saints up 14-6. You're like, oh man, and they're driving again, right? And you're like, man, this thing's get to 21-6 and 28-6, and it's just going to be a spiral downhill, and then the heat will be on, right? Well, Glenn Fry, the heat is on. We'll get that going on, but to no avail. All of a sudden, you see this team come out, that being this New Orleans Saints, and they're going right now, 3 plays, run plays here, a couple pass plays. Well, I think it was about 5 plays later, the Saints get on the scoreboard first, and this is how it sounded.
Play action. Bolden hangs in the pocket. Bolden going for it. Oh, throws caught. Shaheed for the touchdown.
So did Marco Wilson whiff on knocking that pass down on that post route? I mean, they were both. I believe you had Wilson. I forget who the other safety was at the center. They were both right there.
Yeah,
and it's like they didn't realize the ball, that post, a great throw. But the good thing Andy Dalton did is he led Rashid away from the coverage, but Wilson was right there. At first, it's like, if you turn around, you might pick that bad boy off. But a great throw, and I'm like, wow, that was easy. I mean, that was way too easy because you look at it and go, okay, completion, couple long runs, little play action, goes right down the middle, and you got a safety there. So I'm surprised Dalton threw it number 1, and then when he threw it, it's like, nope, everybody whiffed on it and catches it, goes in for an easy touchdown.
How about Rashid and Shaheed? First 2 touchdowns in the National Football League, undrafted free agent from Weber State. He got hurt in his senior season, didn't go to the combine, was undrafted, and didn't really play or practice until the first preseason game, I believe it was. But yeah, at that moment, I was like, uh-oh, Cardinals. Let's get things rolling here. The secondary, Marco Wilson, obviously he made up for it later in the game, but
yeah, he did. Matter of fact, the Cardinals are down, and all of a sudden, Keontae Ingram, they're down 14-6. He takes it to the TD, followed up by the 2-point conversion by Benjamin.
Hand the ball off, and fighting his way is Ingram for a touchdown. Keontae Ingram into the end zone. Now you got Murray for the first time tonight taking a snap under center, and he's going to hand the ball off and trying to get into the end zone. The ball came out, and they're going to say that Benjamin did score.
Thank you, Al Michaels and Prime, Amazon Prime Video. You know what? You get the number one thing. We talked about this yesterday, did we not? If you're in field goal range with Blankenship, get the 3 points. So I'm glad they got the 2 field goals. They come down. A huge drive, I think, for this Cardinals team. To sit there in the first half to come back and tie this. So it's just interesting to me that they go down. All right, it's 14-6. You get the touchdown. Ingram, who I thought had a very good game, the USC running back, he ran hard. He's got a little more burst than I thought he did. And then Benjamin with some of the runs on that drive as well too. To get the 2-point conversion, had no problem with that whatsoever. Just to tie this bad boy up.
Yeah, and I think it gives you confidence in your offense. Of scheme to go for 2 there. Benjamin, it's called a game of inches for a reason. Barely made it in, but he made it in. And 14-14, you're feeling pretty good. The offense scored, 2-point conversion. You got contributions from both running backs. Good to see.
And the thing was to get the ball down, 14-6, to drive down the field. Again, nothing special. A couple short passes here, a couple runs there. And then I thought this offensive line, for the makeshift offensive line that they are, was really something that I thought really stood out more than anything. But all of a sudden you get the touchdown, and then this is when the defense came to life. Then the 6th series, the Saints defense, you look at that coming along, and here comes the Cardinals defense, first of 2 pick sixes.
Going underneath, and he's tipped and intercepted.
You only play back-to-back. I have you pied down.
Inside the 10 to the end zone goes Marco Wilson.
All right, sounds good. You guys are out.
Marquez Callaway could not hold on.
Thanks to Michaels, and that ball's right there. And wouldn't you know it, anytime a receiver comes across the middle and the ball's at his face mask, easy catch, ball pops up. Mr. Johnny on the spot, Marco Wilson, runs into the end zone, does the backflip. Matter of fact, I think the Russian judge only gave an 8.5 on that.
Yeah.
How he jumped, and he must have gone 5 or 6 yards in the air as he did the flip.
Yeah, it was a front flip. He started, I believe, from the 4-yard line. And actually, I read something this morning that he used to do parkour. He's got like parkour videos on YouTube and stuff like that. But he quit parkour, obviously, because it was dangerous and he wanted to pursue football. But to leap from that far, man, and that one angle that they had, the instant replay, it was Andy Dalton just disappointed. And you see Marco Wilson diving in the end zone in the background. Was a sight to see.
Does he and Buda Baker have backflip competitions? Because I know Buddha did some gymnastics when he was growing up. I mean, I'm like, wow, that kid took off. Was it the 4?
Yeah, it was the 4.
Okay, but I thought it was like the 2 or the 3. But he must have been in the air. His hang time must have been like 2.5 seconds as he did that flip. Well, then, wouldn't you know it, our good buddy Blankenship, Rodrigo, misses the extra point. Then, the very next series, here come the New Orleans Saints, and the Swiss Army knife shows his skills after a pick.
Dalton steps up. Picked off at the 40-yard line. Isaiah Simmons. Simmons down the sideline. Simmons inbounds. Simmons all the way. Murray threads it. Hurts. Got it.
Got the 2-point conversion after that. I got to tell you what, we knew that Isaiah Simmons, I call him the Swiss Army knife, because he's finally starting to get it. And they're not moving him around quite as much, but he dropped off the coverage like 20 yards. It was almost like it was a 15 to 20-yard dig route that was coming across. He jumped right there. Andy Dalton never saw him. I mean, Andy's got a little pressure in his face. He's throwing the dig. It's as if Simmons was inside. He flew outside, and I think Dalton figured he was still inside. So he threw that first window on about a 15. Folks, the dig route's like about a 15-yard and in. He threw it right to him.
Yeah.
And I think Isaiah's like, damn, here it comes. He catches it. And then you see the athletic ability, go around, break a couple tackles. Hell, he must run like a 4.44, 5.40. Well, he went around the edge and he was gone.
They say he's the fastest kid on the team. And after watching that, I don't discourage that at all.
I don't know if he's faster than Rondale Moore.
Yeah.
Because Moore's been clocked at 4.2, 4.23. But I mean, just the athleticism and watching him take off. But the back-to-back pick sixes, I don't think I've seen that in many, many years, if at all.
Well, Isaiah Simmons' body was moving to the outside, like you said, and his right hand was the only thing that was in the inside. Tips it to himself, one-handed catch, and just burst. Ran out Callaway, ran out Shaquille, ran out Olave. Yeah, I've never seen 2 pick sixes, and after that, you could tell the Saints were like, all right, let's go to halftime now. Let's take the knee.
And just like that. And by the way, Dennis Allen said, hey, look, we were going to be aggressive and doing it. I don't blame him. But Andy Dalton, the carelessness I see with him when he throws the ball. What is he now, 0-12 in primetime games?
0-12.
And I think he's 0-4 starting against the Arizona Cardinals on top of that. Then it all kind of started, the little brouhaha on the sideline. Then after a forced timeout, Kyler and Cliff, they had a little exchange on the sideline. Here's the explanation of the chat. I think it was just calm the F down, and this came with 2:32 left in the second half. Here's Kyler Murray.
3 minutes.
He's just, he's over there. He's sometimes, he's real animated over there on the sideline sometimes. So it's always, it's never, calm down. We're good. We're gonna make it right. We ended up scoring, so that was good. But yeah, that's all I'm saying. Just chill out.
You were telling him to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Was he sort of the timeout?
No, the clock was running down, and we couldn't have got off the play that we were trying to run. So it was, I guess, it was my fault. I'll take it.
That's Kyler Murray. Okay, so this is what I envision happening, because this has happened to me before. A lot of quarterbacks, I'm sure, don't really have the headset like we did years ago. But I'm sure, again, as the clock is winding down, Cardinals got to take another timeout. And I can almost hear Cliff going, Kyler, let's go, get it going. What the hell are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. That's what's coming in his ear. So at that point, I think Kyler just kind of looked in the air and said, timeout, took his helmet off and goes, look, calm the F down, calm the F down. I'm good, I'm good. So you knew that was kind of what Kyler was in his ear, a little emotional, like, get your butt up there, let's go. I can hear that in his ear. I can hear this in my mind, what Cliff's saying to Kyler. And that's when Kyler took the headset off, said, dude, just chill. And then you saw D-Hop in the middle of them and them kind of calming all down. So, you know what? Nothing to see here, folks. You know, it's a fender bender off the side of the road. Just keep moving. I mean, just keep going down the road. Happens all the time.
I was watching sports talk show hosts this morning, and they're kind of like making a bigger deal of it. I love seeing this from Kyler. The passion, the love that he has for the game, for wanting to score, to wanting to win. But, yeah, if you're Cliff there, I can't imagine if you're Kyler having to process the defense, having to remember what everyone's doing, and you got Cliff in your ear saying, oh, hey, watch this. Oh, hey, watch this. Or, hey, let's hurry up here.
Oh,
hey,
what
Cliff,
the hell are you doing? Let's go. Let's go.
Say the play and stop talking. Because you saw in that game that Kyler can make good adjustments. I mean, that 3rd and 8 to Eno Benjamin, I mean, you got the numbers up front to recognize that to run on 3rd and 8 there. He had some other adjustments as well, but I thought this was a great, smart football game for Kyler Murray.
Hey, we are in the second quarter of the NFL season and our 22nd year of hosting Monday Night Football at Casino Arizona, which is always a hit, has been a hit, always will be. We call it the Monday Night Tailgate. Win cash just for watching football as we host multiple free cash giveaways, like our kickoff progressive chat pot, which is over $1,400 bucks. Plus, you get 2 sets of squares with $25 each quarter. Again, free. Did I say free, Jackson? You hear me say free?
Free 99.
And depending on the week, with more cash, the in-game propositions of football, bingo. We did bingo last week. Had a few winners. Win cash just for watching football with us. Again, the jackpot already over $1,400. We hope to see you this coming Monday as the Bears are in New England to take on the Patriots. Again, the doors open at 4 o'clock. Well, what is the Cardinals defense doing that has him as the catalyst for winning these games? Former defensive lineman Michael Bankston breaks it down for us next on Roc and Manuch. Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910. That's next, right live from Wright Toyota.
What's trending? Sam Houston State alum who played 9 seasons in the NFL for the Bengals and Cardinals. Ranked number 2 on the Arizona Republic's top 100 all-time Cardinal players. A great follow on Twitter at Big Bank 90. Michael Bankston. Now on Roc and Manuch on Fox Sports 910 on FM at 99.9 HD2.
You can take that to the bank. That's right. He's our resident defensive lineman, pass rusher extraordinaire, Michael Bankston. Now joining us here on the right Toyota guest line. Banks, it's Manuch alongside Jax. Jimmy and Rock are out this afternoon. When I hear your clip from the Cardinals, I don't know if that's Isaiah Simmons running in for a touchdown. If that's one big Banks. He must have watched some of your clips back in the day, see how you get in the end zone, right?
Well, one thing he did do that better than me. He didn't fumble the ball.
Banks, did you fumble
the ball? But you know what? You know what? The thing about it is that the defense showed up, and the defense been playing pretty decent, decent overall. But those 2 pick six changed the game, changed the big momentum. And Manuch, you know how that is. You know what? You need that kind of energy to prepare yourself, especially as a Thursday night game. You know what? You're on prime time, and you know you need to show up. Offense started moving the ball, defense started playing, and then we got a big win at the end of the day.
You know, Banks, one of the things I said yesterday, the guys are saying, Manuch, what are the keys to the game? Well, I could book it every day, every which way, but Sunday, right? I said, look, energy and execution, E squared. And the Cardinals brought that. I mean, they start off a little rough, but I thought the energy and execution, especially on both sides of the ball, especially defensively, was what came to fruition in that Thursday night game. Because Thursday nights, you know, Banks, you got to force that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a short time that you got to get ready to play after a Sunday game, and then you got to be prepared. But when you're in prime time, you know, you got to show up because everybody and mama is watching. You know that. Your family's watching. Your friends is watching. Your college teammates are watching and see how you're doing. And then you got some great plays, especially from the defense, as we indicated earlier, with those 2 pick six. But, you know, one thing I also liked was the fact that the offense started moving the ball a lot more. We got a little more variations of the plays than we had before. And that means a lot. And, of course, that happened because we got D-Hop in there. And we see that we can get him started. And hopefully Kyler Murray has something to shoot for because he didn't have anything before for the most part.
Banks, is that when you see a guy like D-Hop come back on the defensive side in the defensive room, does that give you guys a little juice like, hey, look, we're getting more of a repertoire to our offense? Does that give you guys some juice to pick it up even more so on the defensive side?
So, Manuch, you're a quarterback, so if you think about it, what would you rather be? You'd rather be on the field. If you're on the field, then we're scoring points, getting first downs. But if the defense is on the sideline, it's a lovely thing. If the defense is out there too much, it's a problem. So when we have Kyler Murray having some more targets, and then we know we got Robbie Anderson from Carolina that's going to boost up the offense, especially since Hollywood got his foot hurt, and he's going to be out for a few weeks. So hopefully this is a continuation. We'll see what they can do. I mean, I love the defense being on the sideline, even though defense win championship, and I'm always going to be about defense because I'm a defensive player. But at the end of the day, if we can get some points on the board, it makes a huge difference. We still got to stop starting off so slow because those field goals in the red zone is not always going to win ball games. We got to do sevens in the red zone.
Banks, what is your assessment of the Cardinals' defensive line so far through these first 7 games? Their pass rush last night, no sacks for this defensive line, but I thought they controlled the running game and controlled the line of scrimmage during last night's game.
Well, I mean, DJ Watson and Gerdak and all those guys, Zach Allen, those guys go up there and you know what? Long as you are putting some pressure, and those guys are the ones causing those interceptions. It's not always the idea of the guys in the right place, especially in the secondary. It's the fact that he has to throw off his back foot. He has to throw before he wants to throw because everything is about timing. You know that as well. A lot of things are about timing. So if you disrupt timing, you'll actually done your job. So hopefully the Cardinals continue to put some pressure on that.
And the defense, I mean, think about it. Even in the Carolina game, those guys kept them in the game. It actually, when you think about it, it's a low-scoring game. But defense did their job. So hopefully Vance Joseph continue to put those pressures on the guys, put those guys in the right position, and hopefully we start getting those sacks, because we do need those sacks. And most D linemen, if they want to get paid, and you know this as well as I do, you're going to have to get those sacks.
Michael Bankston, former Cardinals defensive end, joins us. When you played, did you have any scuffles with any coaches, kind of like what Kyler and Cliff had last night? What do you make of that?
I didn't like that transition or that moment in time. I understand it though, because one person thinking this is a better way to run the offense, the other person saying do it my way. Kyler sees something different because he's on the field. So I can get where he's coming from. At the end of the day, you know what? They scheme things. If you got a play card, which is your head coach, if he's the offensive play caller, you got to still follow through. Hopefully everybody execute at the end of the day. And if you think about it, if the all 11 execute, it doesn't honestly mean that any play that you run, you should be successful. And you got to believe in that. And so Cliff is saying, you know what? Believe in what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to tell you, like I've been saying, and I've been on the radio for some time, I think it's still too generic. I think it needs a lot more misdirection, a little more RPOs, anything that's going to give the team a little something to think about on the defense side. If we're on the defense side, know what you're doing, it's going to be in your ears back and have a good day on the defense side. So we need a little more delusional plays to make sure we can get some opportunities for Zach Ertz to go down the field. Right now, D Hops to go down the field, and then also we need the run game to get going.
He's Michael Bankston, former defensive lineman for the Arizona Cardinals and Cincinnati Bengals, joining us here on the right Terry to guest line with Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B. Is Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons starting to get it, Banks, when you watch them? Are they reading and reacting versus thinking, reading and reacting? Your thoughts on these last two, the young guys, the last three games?
Well, I mean, you can see that their play is getting better. They're not reading and reacting like you said, because you got a short period of time to go up there and read plays, but you got to have that pre-snap read. And I think their football IQ is getting better overall, and they're getting to the football, to the football play better. And then they can see and read offenses, because you know, think about it. We got 5 receivers, you know that already, and then all you need to know is where they at, where they're going to go, and how many different patterns they can run in the position they are, and then you set yourself accordingly. And then for Xavier Collins, he has to be that man because he is in the middle to be able to stop that run and to also be able to control not just the defensive line, but also the secondary, because he's the mic in the middle.
And to that question, that leads me to my next question, Banks. Michael Bankston joining us here on the right Terry guest line. Do you think this defense, and you watched Zach Joseph the last few games, Vance Joseph, I'm sorry, the last few games run this defense. He's been running a lot of 4-3, Banks, a lot of 4-3. Do you think they're more adept with the 4-3? I mean, obviously with Zach Allen and J.J. Watt, but it seems those linebackers do read and react with the 3-man linebacker set.
Well, I mean, I'm always partial to the 4-3.
Sure.
I mean, I played all defenses, the 3-4 as well as the 4-3. I'm still partial to the 4-3 because if you can set the edges, then you can have your you can have your linebackers flow a lot quicker. I know when the one thing about the 3-4 is more of a disguise, and then you're supposed to have more of a athletic players on the field at one time. But if you can set your edges and then you only make them one direction as far as running, and then that's a huge plus for your defense. So it's a gap sign defense. It doesn't matter if it's 3-4 or 4-3. And I think when Vance Joseph understand that he has a caliber of player, especially Isaiah, we already know he's multi-talented. He can play position. When Collins getting into his own, it's going to be better for him to run that 4-3 more so than a 3-4.
Thanks. When you look at this defense last night, what were some positives that you saw from the defensive line, the linebackers, and secondary that you think this Cardinals team can build on from games to come?
Well, I was there last, and one thing I always love, I mean, if you can go 3 and out, we always say win the third down percentage because you want to be able to get your offense back on the field regardless of what's going on. And so I seen those guys get those 3 and outs. Now, one thing I did was suspect is the fact that we get those long runs that we shouldn't have. And regardless if it's a quarterback or if it's a running back, we need to work more on stopping the run
2 minutes.
so we can rush the passer so you can make most teams one-dimensional. I think that those guys are very athletic up front, which is cool, but we need to make sure we get home at the end of the day and get those sacks so we can be somebody efficient. If we're going to take it to the next level, right now we're 3-4 out of after 7 games. We got a long ways to go if we're going to try to make a playoffs, especially in the NFC West.
Well, Banks, the team's only a half game out. Christian McCaffrey going to San Francisco with the trade there, but the Cardinals, like as you said, defense win championships. They can get that offense on track earlier in the games. Who knows what could happen over the next 4 or 5 games? But always a pleasure. We will talk to you in the next couple of weeks, Banks. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, guys. Manuch and Jackson, guys keep it up. Good talking to you. Let's go Cards at the end of the day.
Let's go Cards.
Michael
Appreciate
Banks,
it,
the big bank. Well, Michael Banks is driven by All City Towing. All City Towing continues to grow and is hiring. Head to allcitytowing.com as they currently have immediate full-time positions available that have incredible benefits, including a 401k program with a generous company match. The fastest way to apply is online at allcitytowing.com/careers. That's allcitytowing.com/careers, or call All City's HR department at 480-833-7278. That's 480-833-7278. That's All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing, transports, and vehicle provider, allcitytowing.com. Well, make plans to watch all the football action at any of the 4 Twin Peaks locations in the Valley. Many man-sized Blue Moon and Coors Light draft specials. Plus, make sure to enter to win the custom backyard patio kit. Text PEAKS to 55678 to enter. That's PEAKS to 55678 to enter. Well, coming up next, it's our 72 sold on this day. It's Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B. Jack's filling in live from Wright Toyota in North Scottsdale.
This
past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past.
A quick reflection on some of the more memorable moments in sports and pop culture. Time for your 72 Sold on This Day report. Get our price. Our price at 72sold.com.
On This Day is brought to you by 72 Sold. 72 Sold, America's leading home selling program. There's no better way to sell your home than 72 Sold. Get our price, a higher price, at 72sold.com. Well, gentlemen, you guys wouldn't remember this. Your parents were probably little ones at this time. 50 years ago, 1972, that'd be my freshman year at McClintock High School, My Ding-a-Ling became Chuck Berry's first number one record. Let's pop that up a little bit there. There you go. Very simple, right? Yeah, it's a good song. I'm not going to define My Ding-a-Ling one way or the other, but here you go, Chuck Berry. He's this rock and roll legend for years and years in the 50s, 60s. His number one record after 20-some years of being in the business is My Ding-a-Ling. That was 50 years ago, back in 1972. Freshman year, McClintock playing on the Pee Wee team. We had the A team and the B team. We were the Mini Brutes, 130 pounds and below, a 9-0 record, by the way. And then you had the freshman team was 130 pounds and above. We broke the records. We kicked their butt, by the way. The bigger guys. Yeah.
Was that back when you guys wore like the leather helmets?
No, we had a regular helmet. Had the 2 bar, had the little U helmet that little U bar there right there as well, too. Many, many years ago.
You said 50 years ago?
50 years ago.
Oh, so Jimmy B was turning 50 years old then, huh?
Well, he was somewhere in the ballpark like that.
I was about to say.
2006, Michigan State rallies from a 35-point third-quarter deficit to beat Northwestern 41-38. It's the biggest comeback in NCAA 1A history. Brett Swenson kicks a winning 28-yard field goal with 13 seconds left following an interception by Travis Key. So that 2006, at that time, coming back from a 35-point deficit. You guys should remember this. 2001, Randy Johnson and the Arizona Diamondbacks defeat the Atlanta Braves 3-2 to win the National League Championship Series and reach the World Series for the first time in their history. Arizona gets to the series faster than any expansion team in history, doing so in its 4th year of its existence. Rubio Durazo's pinch hit 2-run homer is the key blow. Craig Counsell is named the National League Championship Series MVP. Now, that couldn't be because Jared Colangelo got a lot of high-priced guys, Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, Matt Williams, Jay Bell, the original Arizona Diamondback, plus a plethora of other Arizona Diamondback teams. 1980, the Philadelphia Phillies become the World Series champions for the first time in their 98-year history with a 4-1 triumph over the Kansas City Royals in Game 6 of the 1980 World Series. I can see to this day Tug McGraw throwing that final pitch and beating the Royals, and his glove thrown up in the air, and all the Phillies going just absolutely nuts. 1979, Chicago Bulls guard Sam Smith scores the first 4-point play NBA history during a 113-111 loss to the Bucks at Milwaukee. Why is that, you ask, Jax? Because the three-point line was engaged, and he got fouled after making a three-pointer. Therein lies the 4-point play.
Wow.
From many, many years ago. 47 years ago, 1975. This was my freshman year at Mason Community College. Kind of date myself there, but that's okay. In Game 6 of the World Series, in the bottom of the 12th inning, the Boston Red Sox, Carlton Fisk, hits a ball deep to left field and willed it fair for the game-winning home run. The Cincinnati Reds eventually take the series in Game 7. So, just to kind of remind all the folks, when he hit that home run, you can see Carlton Fisk, Pudge was his nickname, running down the first base line, pushing, stay fair into the fair territory. Therein lies the home run ball. So that is our today's On This Day report, which is powered every day by 72 Sold, America's leading home selling program. There's no better way to sell your home than 72 Sold, the official real estate partner of the Arizona Cardinals. For easiest, fastest, most proper way to sell your home is at 72sold.com. Get our price, a higher price, at 72sold.com. Well, little known fact here. Let's switch to a little police blotter here, Jax. Just a few months after being traded to the Cleveland Browns, star quarterback Deshaun Watson was caught driving 97 miles per hour on the Ohio Turnpike in June. Now, the speed limit on Turnpike is 70. Okay, got that? Now, if you those turnpikes, tolls, what have you, got to pay, to ride on them. Watson, they say, was polite during the stop, and he said just moved to Ohio. He was headed east on I-80 when he was stopped. He paid the ticket a few days later. 97 miles an hour. Might have had that Ferrari or something like that going on the turnpike. So you got the 90 thruway, which is up there. You got the turnpikes. You got to pay. So you go through the toll booth. See, back in those days, it was 50 cents, to go. I think it was like 25, 30 miles or something like that. But in those days, they had Cessna airplanes that would fly over these turnpikes, and they would track you or clock you via the airplanes. So anytime you saw these Cessna airplanes, they didn't have like the radar or anything like that. So in this case, I'm sure they had a radar. A cop popped him going by at 97 miles an hour, just 3 miles shy of 100 miles an hour. They'd have the Cessnas fly over you, and sometimes you'd see them come up on you. Next thing you know, you got a cop pulling him behind you. I'm like, and this happened to me, so I know this.
Interesting.
I'm like, where'd you come from? We got you from the plane. Go, what plane? I'm looking up because you're driving. You don't see the Cessna airplanes. So I think they clocked me at like 65 or 70 in a 55 because they'd backed everything down way, way back. So that's a little bit of a police blotter, which is right there too. Coming up now, number 2, we're going to talk about the Cardinals. And just real quick, you made a little comment before we came back about Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey going to the San Francisco 49ers, and how much is it going to enhance the San Francisco 49ers team? We'll dive into that a little bit, but as soon as you saw that, you shot a text to me. Was that during the first quarter of the game last night?
It was like the third or fourth. It was towards the end of the game where it came out. I actually wasn't on my phone. Al Michaels announced it last night, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they play him. The over-under right now is 75.5 yards for McCaffrey.
That's what it was. So you don't think he can get there in time, get about 3 or 4 packages for Christian McCaffrey, take some of that load off of Deebo Samuel?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know the running back position very well, but I mean, if you can just kind of maybe Garoppolo tells him, hey, dive right guard or dive A gap or B gap or hey, block this guy.
Wait a second. This is a Stanford grad you're talking about.
That is true.
Going back to his old stomping grounds, basically, even though it's just outside of Palo Alto. I mean, they could easily give him 4 or 5 running plays. They could give him 4 or 5 pass plays. I think just out of courtesy to get him there, pass the physical, make sure he's good to go, and have him kind of settle down. Because you remember, he knows that area very, very well. I think that when you look at Christian McCaffrey coming back, taking the load, as I said, off of Deebo, and then having that depth, especially after what they did against Atlanta, laid a huge egg against Atlanta with virtually no running game, and to take some of that pressure off of Jimmy G.
Yeah, and then you think about the behind the scenes, not even about his play, but he just got to San Francisco today, but all of his stuff is still in Carolina. He still hasn't sold his house. All of his stuff is there. He probably only has like a suitcase full of things, and he's maybe in a hotel room.
He won't worry about that. He's got people that can go ahead and take care of that. Now, whether he owns or rents back there in Carolina, whatever, I don't know where he lives in the offseason. He might go back to Denver, where his family is back in the Denver area there. But it's going to be interesting. So for a lot of Cardinal fans, you've got 2 games against the San Francisco 49ers, and they're later in the year.
Yeah.
The thing about Christian McCaffrey is can he stay healthy? And if he can stay healthy from the particular standpoint of being that added weapon to this San Francisco 49ers team, who I think has got the best defense in the division, but right now the Cardinals are only half game out. And with D-Hop back in the fold, who you can get back lineman-wise or have guys plug and play, whether Rodney Hudson comes back or not, is going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. And then what are we going to see in the scenario with what other receivers are the Rams going to add on top of that? So there's still some trades to be made.
1 minute.
And it could be coming out of input to this. Could be coming out of Carolina.
Yeah, the Niners actually play the Arizona Cardinals a month from today on November 21st.
And then like 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later, something like that.
So he's going to have enough time to learn that playbook.
Hey, how would you like a new backyard patio grill set look in your backyard, or better yet, a new patio grill set for your family member who needs one? That's right. If you don't need it, give it to somebody else. Your chance to win right now. Just text PEAKS to 55678. That's PEAKS to 55678. and you've entered into a customized backyard grill patio set courtesy of Twin Peaks, Blue Moon, and Coors Light. You can enter once a day. Standard message and data rates apply. That's Peaks to 55678. Well, coming up now, number 2, we'll take a look back at last night's Cardinals and Saints game.
10.
And we'll talk to top handicapper Scott Spreitzer. That's coming up next with Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B. Live from Right Toyota next.
when you are eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900 and always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Dan Manucci alongside Jax filling in for the guys. Rock's a little under the weather. And then Jimmy B, he's always got that Friday off. He's got to get those days off once in a while and kind of get geared up for the following week. But we are out here at Wright Toyota. They got a plethora of certified pre-owned vehicles out here. Some absolutely gorgeous. Got this Land Cruiser, this V8 Land Cruiser in front of us. You got that. I think they finally sold the Bentley.
Yeah, they sold the G-Wagon, too.
The G-Wagon, the Bentley. I mean, they got it going on out here at Wright Toyota. We got, speaking of going on, we're going to catch up with Scott Spreitzer from DocSports.com at 2:30. We'll look at a couple of NFL games, look at a few college games, some really good college games. And I'm perplexed. There's one game in college football, Jackson, and we'll get into this, where Mississippi State, so you got to say it real quick. That's how they say it, Mississippi. Yeah, they don't said Mississippi State. They're Mississippi State. They're taking on Alabama. Alabama's favored by 21. You think that the ire is coming from the guys in Vegas to pretty much say, hey, look, they're going to lay the wood to Mississippi State?
Yeah, it's crazy because Mississippi State's offense is really good too, and we saw Bama's defense put up 49 points or allow 49 last week against Tennessee. So I mean, yeah, I think Bama's going to win this fashion, but 21 points seems like a lot when Will Rogers leads the country in touchdown passes.
Yeah, so we'll catch up with Scott Spreitzer here at 2:30. If you've got any thoughts, stay tuned in because he is one of the best, if not the best, in all the land. But with all that being said, let's take a look at our top stories here on a Friday.
Time for the top local and national stories of the hour. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's no better place in the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
That's right. It is the top story brought to you by the new Sportsbook in the CAZ Sports Bar, now open at Casino, Arizona. Their Jacks take the points. Will be there from 11 to 1 tomorrow. So if you want to see how the magic happens, just stop in there at the CAZ Sports Bar and the Sportsbook. You'll see Jacks and Mike Gross. No Mike Bauer tomorrow?
No Bauer.
So you get a word in edgeways now.
Yeah, I'll get to talk more. Yeah.
What do you guys got planned over there tomorrow?
Yeah, we're gonna have Damian Anderson on from PHNX. DA. He was actually used to be on Take the Points back in the day with Gross. So we'll talk to him about the Cardinals. We'll talk to him about some bets for college football and NFL this weekend as well. And then we got Marco D'Angelo from Wager Talk. You said Spreitzer is one of the best. I think Marco D'Angelo is probably one of the best.
They're both pretty doggone good. Damian Anderson, one of the outstanding running backs out of Northwestern University with the Arizona Cardinals, does a fine job. Glad to see you guys got him back in the fold. Well, game home losing streak finally over, Jax. Finally. Woo. What did they say? Was it 362 days since the last victory? That was State Farm. Is that what I heard?
If you're a season ticket holder, it's like, thank God. They finally won a game. I can finally go to these games knowing that maybe there's a chance.
It probably seemed like about a 10-year haul, did it? That kind of a length of a home victory, almost a year, is like the Suns' 10 years of no playoffs. It kind of felt like that if you're a Cardinals fan. I'm sure it felt like that. Well, the 42-34 victory last night, Kyler Murray threw for 204 yards and a touchdown. Well, the defense, Jax, posted back-to-back pick sixes at the end of the first half. Cards now 3-4 on the season. Only a half game back, Jax. They're hanging around.
Yeah, this young talent. It was especially nice. The people that made these plays, the players that made these plays were the young talent. You got Zaven Collins, who stepped up, I thought, led the team in tackles for the third straight week. You can tell that he's comfortable with the green dot, which is great to see. You got Isaiah Simmons, you got Marco Wilson, Antonio Hamilton. It's great to see him. He's been in the league for 7 years. First interception in a big moment in the red zone like that. And then you got Ingram and Benjamin. 6th-round pick Ingram, 7th-round pick Benjamin stepping up in the running game behind a banged-up O-line as well.
The irony of all that, right? If you looked at it on paper and you saw the Saints, I call this the JV game of the National Football League because everybody's banged up. And here's the Saints. I literally banged up. I think they called a couple of guys off the streets to go play corner last night. But I will say this, the opportunities to make big plays on defense. Now, the Marco Wilson interception, and we'll get to that in our second segment here. That's a gift, okay? Callaway, you got to make that catch. It's right there. It's on the money. And then the play to Isaiah Simmons, I mean, he just stood back there. He just dropped into coverage. And Andy Dalton said, hey, look, Merry Christmas. Here it comes. Make the catch. Get that. But here's the thing. You took advantage of the opportunities to go ahead and make big plays and get the scores on the defensive side. You talked about Hamilton, the interception in the end zone. If the Saints go down and score, it's 21-3, 21-6 at that time.
Yeah.
Going into the halftime, it could be game, set, match. But Andy Dalton, where are you throwing the ball? You can't force it in the end zone. You got to get your eyes up. I'd like to know in film study today, what are you looking at? What are you reading? Because you never force it or throw it over the middle in the plus 20. I'll say the plus 10, unless you know it's wide ass open. I mean, there's a Grand Canyon there that you can get that into, or you throw it high, so if your guy can't get it, nobody gets it. I just like to know what he's reading. So the opportunity for the Cardinals to make plays when they had popped up for them, pardon the pun.
Were you surprised that the New Orleans Saints didn't really use Kamara as much as we maybe anticipated?
They only had, with Kamara and Ingram, they only had the combined rushing was what? 89?
It was 85 yards.
85
Kamara
yards.
and Ingram only had 55 of those yards.
I thought they would run, and then run some more. I was surprised they came out throwing as much as they did, but I think they felt that their pass protection and the receivers pretty much could win. I thought Dennis Allen, the head coach for the Saints, got away from his game plan, and it caught up for him. Christian McCaffrey going to the San Francisco 49ers. If you did not see this, I'll let you break it down there, Jax. Matter of fact, Jax was sitting there we were talking about before we went to break. Would Christian McCaffrey play? What's the over/under with him playing? You got some update on that as well too?
Oh yeah, the over/under right now is 75.5 yards, and we were talking before the break or before we got.
I'm just talking about is with the over/under on just playing.
Oh yeah, well I guess the over/under playing would be either yes or no, and the next thing you know, he's on the practice field wearing 23 in the gold and red right now. But yeah, in that trade, the Niners got star running back Christian McCaffrey, and the Panthers got 3 2023 picks, a second, a third, and a fourth rounder, as well as a fifth rounder in the 24th draft.
It's interesting, as you mentioned, second round pick in this year coming, 2023, a third rounder, so second and third, and a fourth for Christian McCaffrey,
and a fourth. We're running for a running back.
I know, but he's a running back and he's banged up, and he can't last a season.
Yeah.
So I think John Lynch, the general manager of the Niners, is like, we're a little desperate here. Take a little relief off of Deebo Samuels or something. Man, that's a lot of draft picks for Christian McCaffrey.
And the 49ers have had history of injuries in that running back field too. So it's interesting how they went with McCaffrey here. But yeah, just like how OBJ went to the Rams, the Niners wanted him as well. The Niners and Rams both wanted McCaffrey here, and the Niners came out on top. So we'll see how it works for him. And guess what, McCaffrey? Oh yeah, you get to play the Chiefs at home this weekend.
Well, as you mentioned, you pulled it up during the break. He's going out to practice. He should be able to pick up, like I said, 4, 5, 6 running plays, 8 to 10 pass plays, depending on how they utilize them. Well, speaking of that, sportsbetting.ag moved the Niners title odds from 16-1 to 14-1 initially, but quickly dropped to 12-1, and now the odds are even lower. So 16-1 to 12-1. And think about that. They're looking at the Cardinals, they're looking at the Rams, looking at the Seahawks. How those odds have moved up.
Yeah, and their defense has been stepping up too. I think that's the biggest key factor for this Niners team compared to other years. It's going to be interesting to see how, like you said, how they use McCaffrey, but also how do they use Deebo Samuel with a guy like McCaffrey that can catch and can run? Are they going to use him more as a running back like they have been? Or are they going to kind of force him to be a receiver, which is what he wanted That's what he asked for the trade all offseason is to just focus on wide receiver. Well, this is a good opportunity, Debo, to focus on just receiving.
Phoenix Suns taking on the Portland Trailblazers in Portland. Then also they'll visit the Clippers on Sunday in L.A. before returning home. The team opened, as you know, 107-105 victory against the Dallas Mavericks on Wednesday. Yotes are struggling. Montreal beat them 6-2 last night. The Yotes are now 1-3. At one point in this game, it was 5-zip. Also, this is doesn't surprise me. Defenseman Jacob Chikrin, who led the NHL in goals at his position 2 years ago, wants to be traded. Well, I think that's been coming. He wants to get moved to a situation
2 minutes
with a chance to win and a team that's fighting for the cup. Well, it's like get in line, Jacob. Now, if you're young guys, if Clayton Keller is the guy that says, I'm just not seeing this happen, but he's a young guy. So I think he'll be more patient to allow this team to develop and move on. With Jacob Chikrin, he's going to look. I've only got so many shots in this stick. Could you please move me on and just send me somewhere? I don't care what you get. Just send me to a team that's got a chance at least going to the playoffs.
To any other team besides the Coyotes, I guess. I mean, if you go to another team, it's a step in the right direction towards the cup, I guess. I mean, I feel like the Arizona Coyotes are kind of in last place.
Well, I think the prediction, the over-under is maybe 25 wins, plus or minus maybe 25 wins. Devils are headed to Stanford. Speaking of Palo Alto, the home of alumnus Christian McCaffrey. ASU last couple weeks ago got the upset victory over Washington. The Cardinal, the Devils, and the Cardinal both sit at 2-4 overall. And elsewhere, the 3-4 Arizona Wildcats have the weekend.
1 minute.
They can somewhat catch their breath after getting into that shootout against the Washington Huskies. So, from the standpoint, what are some of the things that the Devils can build on going into Palo Alto tomorrow?
I mean, Bourget, Emory Jones, that's where it starts. Who will be the starting quarterback here for this Sun Devils team? And then can this defense cause havoc for Tanner McKee and the Stanford offense? They only put up 13 points, I believe, against Notre Dame last week, but this is a smart Stanford team. They got a veteran coach that's been there for a long time as well, so I believe Stanford's favored in this matchup. This is a good matchup for the Sun Devils if they want to kind of add some wins, add some for the resume of Iguano.
Hey, we're in the second quarter of the NFL season, and our 22nd year of hosting Monday Night Football at Casino Arizona has been a hit. We call it the Monday Night Tailgate. Win cash is for watching football as we host multiple free cash giveaways like our kickoff progressive jackpot, which is over $1,400 bucks. Plus, you get 2 sets of squares with $25 each quarter. Again, free, and depending on the week where you make more cash, you'll get more cash with the in-game props or football bingo. We did football bingo last week. Win cash just for watching football with us. Again, the jackpot already over $1,400 bucks. We hope to see you this coming Monday as the Bears are in New England to face the Patriots. The doors open at 4 o'clock. If you're looking for the easiest way to sell your home for top dollar, even in this current housing market, it's Manuch to tell you how 72 Sold works. First sell, you get to sell your house at a higher price, meaning you get more than selling traditionally. Second, avoid daily showings, which eliminates the inconvenience of daily showings. Who has the time? We are way too busy these days with our own time. So what you have to do is enjoy greater certainty. You have a greater control over your sale and closing day. And lastly, streamline the process. Have your home sold in days instead of weeks or even months. You'd be crazy to sell your home any other way. So for the easiest, fastest, most profitable way to sell your home, head to 72sold.com, 72sold.com, the official real estate partner of the Arizona Cardinals and Diamondbacks. And now Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B. Go to 72sold.com to get a higher price for your home. Coming up next, we'll take a look at the Arizona Cardinals victory. We'll break it all down for you next on Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B. Live from Wright Toyota on Fox Sports 910.
Get ready for some fireworks.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. It's Manuch alongside Jack's out here at Wright Toyota. Cardinals finally get a home victory. They win 42-34 over the Saints. You watched this game initially, and you saw the Saints go right down the field. Bang! Score. Okay, Cardinals can come back, and then you see this Saints team get on a little bit of a roll. Cardinals counter it. But I just want to get your overall thoughts, Jackson, just watching the game. We'll get to a few highlights here in a minute to kind of let's see how the game unfolded. But you watched the Thursday night game, and I'd preached energy and execution yesterday. I thought they brought that.
Yeah.
But I still felt that this offense still looked a little sluggish. And if not for this defense to somewhat carry their weight, get the turnovers, get the opportunistic pick sixes, if you will, plus another interception off of Andy Dalton. I really felt that they're kind of carrying this offense, and hopefully with D-Hop back in the fold, 10 catches, they can get some of that traction back. And then when James Conner comes back, and then when Rodney Hudson, their center, does come back, some of those pieces maybe halfway through the year or 3/4 way through the year, they can still be in the hunt, so to speak, and have a shot to make the playoffs, or if anything, a wild card. Because I don't see anybody at this point in time taking that proverbial ball, and running away with this conference, unless the Rams, get Odell Beckham III re-signs. He'll add some juice to that offense. But right now, I don't see anybody in the NFC West that's really that dominant factor that one team or the other can't beat.
Yeah, they mentioned on the broadcast last night how there's been so many teams that are at 3-3 or 2-4 right now. It's just kind of a weird 6-7 weeks of football right now. But yeah, when you mentioned this offense, I think something stuck out to me. I think third down is still a thing they need to work on. 3 for 10 last night, not really good.
Well, then last week they were 4 for 16.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. And with my keys to the game yesterday was you got to convert on third downs. That in the red zone and making sure you punch it on the red zone.
And I think a part of that for how to convert on third down is how you do on second down. It felt like the Cardinals either had on third down, it was a penalty that sent them back to 3rd and 8, or maybe on second down they had a 2nd and 10 and you decided to run with Ingram or Benjamin inside the tackles and he got a 1 or 2 yard gain. And I think also Cliff Kingsbury needs to give Kyler the plays way earlier so he can adjust. When you've seen him adjust, I believe 2 of those third downs were him audibling the call. One of them was 3rd and 8 to Eno Benjamin, realizing, hey, we got more bodies in the box. Let's run it here on 3rd and 8, which was a bold play from him. And Eno Benjamin got, I believe it was 12 yards.
And I'm quite believing we'll get to that. I think that kind of led to the little discussion on the sideline, or a little dust up that Cliff and Kyler had. But, things kind of got going. And a lot of Cardinal fans were like, could this be it? This is how it all got going with the Saints with the touchdown pass.
Play action. Bolden hangs in the pocket. Golden going for it. All throws caught. Shaheed for the touchdown.
Thank you, Al Michaels in Prime Video. And Shaheed, here's this young man, undrafted free agent out of Weber State. Back-to-back weeks on the Andy Dalton 53-yard TD pass. And quite frankly, I don't know how that got by Marco Wilson. I mean, that post route, I thought he sorted into coverage. Yeah. But Marco's like, his back was turned, didn't see it. Good throw by Andy Dalton to lead him away for the touchdown.
Yeah, maybe the ball got caught in the light, or he tripped a little bit. I don't really know. Understand.
It was odd. He was like right there.
Yeah, and it makes me worry because next week they play Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and the Vikings, and that's what they love to do is the post route on the outside. So,
and I know that Shaheed he had success with the post route last week as well too. Well, the Cardinals down 14-6. Finally got the ground game going as Ingram takes it in for the TD and the 2-point conversion by Eno Benjamin.
Hand the ball off, and fighting his way is Ingram for a touchdown. Deontay Ingram into the end zone. Now you got Murray for the first time tonight taking a snap under center, and he's going to hand the ball off and trying to get into the end zone. The ball came out, and they're going to say that Benjamin did score.
Well, you got to like that. I mean, at that point, down 14-6, you tie it up, and then you feel pretty good about yourself in reference to this Arizona Cardinals team. Going, okay, we're even, Steven, right? Now we can everybody can settle down. Everybody can pretty much breathe. Then the next series for the Saints, this is when the defense comes alive.
Ball underneath, and is tipped, and interception. And all the way inside the Marco Wilson. Marquez Callaway could not hold on.
Thank you, Al Michaels in Prime Video. Again, you got to give that one. That is, I would call that a drop six. I wouldn't call that a pick six. That was not on Andy Dalton. That was a dig route. Looked like about a 10-yard dig route. He put it right on his face mask. The ball hits his hand. Almost looked like Callaway didn't expect it so soon, or he might have lost it because it looked like it got on his hands. He wasn't quite ready to catch it, but it pops up in the air. There's Mr. Johnny on the spot, Marco Wilson. He beelines to the end zone, takes off 4 yards shy, goes airborne, 4 yards shy of the end zone, does a flip, and here you go. Cardinals got the lead all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know what was more impressive there, the interception itself or even the front flip at the end. But yeah, I watched some post-game interviews, and Budda Baker, Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons were shocked that Marco Wilson even caught it because they said he doesn't have the best hands on the team. He works on his hands after each and every practice. But yeah, I mean, it was Callaway's fault in that position, but the quick reaction from Wilson and the score there was pretty impressive.
I got to tell you what, between he and Budda Baker, they should have some kind of gymnastics competition because Budda Baker can be on his knees and go up from his knees, pop up, and then he can also do the backflip thing. So both of those guys seen the athleticism. But why wouldn't Blankenship miss the extra point? That's right on you, right? And Mendola last couple of weeks, and Blankenship makes the extra point to makes it 20-14. Then here comes the New Orleans Saints once again, and then the Swiss Army knife does his thing.
Dalton steps up. Picked off at the 40-yard line. Isaiah Simmons. Simmons down the sideline. Simmons inbounds. Simmons all the way. Murray threads it. Hurts.
Yeah, at that point, I don't blame you for going for the 2-point conversion with the mister that is the field goal kicking for the Arizona Cardinals. What a great return. Just the speed of watching him. He's got to be a 4 or 5 guy.
Easy.
I mean, he takes 3 strides. He's 20 yards. Yeah. You look at that. And then the nice throw to Zach Ertz for the 2-point conversion. He just runs like a little button hook outside. And Murray puts that ball down low where he can only get that. At that point, it's pretty much the Cardinals are starting to get that momentum. All of a sudden, they take that lead at halftime and then come out and eventually win that game 42-34. They made it interesting, though. The Saints going down. Opening drive the third quarter, Cardinals come out. It's 3-and-out. They only scored it was only like a minute. So the Saints come back. They go down the field. I'm like, uh-oh. They're going to go down and score. They're going to make a game out of this. Unfortunately, the ball gets tipped, and I know that Dalton tried to throw it. Almost got intercepted again. They get the field goal. That's somewhat the saving grace. Couple of touchdowns in the fourth quarter. The onside kick goes to the Cardinals. They run the clock out, game, set, match. But one of the things that's got everybody and their mother talking about all over the place was a little dust-up between Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. About 2:32 left in the first half. And I could kind of tell you maybe there's a little bit of animated screaming going into the headset of one Kyler Murray. Here's Kyler Murray talking about telling Cliff Kingsbury to calm the F down as he walked over to him.
He's sometimes, he's real animated on the sideline sometimes. So it's always, it's never, calm down. We're good. We're gonna make it right. We did a scoring, so that was good. But yeah, that's all I'm saying. Just chill out.
You were telling him to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Was he still over the timeout?
No, the clock was running down, and we couldn't have got off the play that we were trying to run. So it was, I guess, it was my fault. I'll take it.
See, and I think that's why Cliff was frustrated. He was in his ear like, Kyler, come on, get the freaking play. Let's go. And Kyler's like, I got it. And then as it wind down, I think the frustration overflowed into Kyler. But here's the one thing. If you're going to come over and talk to your head coach, you got to do it in more of a, I'm going to say, diplomatic way. I know he's fired up. Say, look, Cliff, I got it. Okay, calm down and just keep it. Don't exasperate a situation when the head coach is already fired up. So I think Cliff realized immediately, like, as soon as he came over, look, just calm down. We're good. But I thought they kind of got a little over-animated. But on top of that, nothing to see here. This is the kind of stuff that happens. But I think it could have been handled by Kyler just a little bit less emotionless and more than, hey, my bad. I got it. We're all good here. Just to call him your head coach now.
Yeah, it was a good thing Diop was there too to give him a hug, give him some support, and kind of break up the marriage there. But yeah, Diop said he's never been married before.
Break up any marriage. He just kind of calmed the waters down. And what did he say about me? I think what you're alluding to is I've never been married before, but I think this happens once in a while.
Yeah, it's just two guys that are competitive and want to win, and hopefully this marriage can keep progressing forward, and the Cardinals can win.
Folks, nothing to see there. That happens. Those kind of things happen. You'd be amazed at what happens, maybe not on front and center with the spotlight on you on national TV one way or the other. Well, are you in need for a new patio grill set for your backyard? Your chance to win one is now. Just text PEAKS to 55678. That's PEAKS to 55678. And you'll be entered in to win a customized backyard grill patio set courtesy of Twin Peaks, Blue Moon, and Coors Light. You can enter once a day. Standard message data rates apply. Well, it's week number 7 of the National Football League. There are some key college games that may affect the conference standings. Scott Spreitzer of DocSports.com breaks down 4 to 5 games with us next on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910, live from Wright Toyota.
Behold.
Guys are hot.
Payout with Roc and Manuch on Fox Sports 910.
That's right, Scott Spreitzer, DocSports.com. You can also tweet him at Scott Wint. Now joining us here on the Right Toyota guest like he has the last, 16, 17 years. Scott, it's Manuch alongside Jax. Roc and Jimmy B are out. How we doing in Las Vegas this afternoon?
We're doing well, getting ready to watch a little baseball, getting some more football, watching those lines all week as we do right through the games and looking to see if we want to add on to anything. But, man, I'm looking forward to this game in in Philadelphia between the Padres and the Phils coming up.
I got to imagine anything and everything is going on right now. I know golf is a little bit. Does pickleball made the Las Vegas way of life yet?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that. I was doing a radio show earlier today here in Las Vegas, and they're just announcing this big pickleball complex opening up in Henderson. I've not yet played pickleball. I'm guessing one of these days I will end up picking up a pickleball racket, but haven't gotten there yet.
Well, if you ever when you come to Phoenix, we'll take you out to Bell Bank Park. They got pickleball extraordinaire national tournaments out there. Roc's a big dog out there in that way, but pickleball's alive and well here in Phoenix. Matter of fact, the national broadcasts are going on, Scott. So I'm sure you'll be handicapping all that stuff. All right, Scott, let's get to a couple NFL games, and then let's get to a couple of college. Maybe if we can squeeze one more in. I want to get it going with the Chiefs at the 49ers. 49ers looks like they're going to get 2. Is that going to change, or has it changed since the trade of Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers?
Yeah, it has a little bit. It was 2.5 yesterday before the trade, and there were just a couple of threes out of like 30 sports books that I have on my line service. So it was mostly 2.5, and it dropped to 2 right after it was announced and confirmed that he was headed to San Francisco. You wish the best for this guy because he seems like he works his tail off and he stays out of trouble. And I'm not trying to be too funny on this or anything, but I'm like, what's his over-under on the amount of games he plays, before he gets hurt? I mean, that's the scary part. And, the thing is you've got Jeff Wilson, who had a 100-yard game against Carolina recently. You've got Debo coming out of the backfield when they line him up and running back, and he's able to catch well. So you do have that going if McCaffrey doesn't play this week for San Francisco. And Casey's really banged up in the secondary. The defense can be had at times. The Niners defense is as good as it gets. And while they do have some bumps and bruises, guys, the system's in place. And they're going to be tough to beat on a consistent basis. Last week, they ended up losing that game to Atlanta 28-14, and it surprised, of course, a lot of folks. It's 14-14 with less than a minute to go in the third. The defense held Atlanta to 289 total yards, but they kind of imploded, making a lot of mistakes on the offensive side of the football. They are number 2 in the NFL, by the way, in yards per point, and I know a lot of folks are looking for KC to bounce back off the loss, but I think San Francisco wins the game whether McCaffrey is in uniform or not.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, second pro game we have here is the Seattle Seahawks at the Chargers. Chargers getting 5 here. Scott, who are you favoring in this matchup?
Yeah, I guess I should first say that I owe Geno Smith a big apology because I have not been a Geno Smith fan since about midway through his final year at West Virginia, and he's played well. And one of the things is they've got the running backs who are taking care of business. Now, they lost Rashad Penny, so they could probably use one more running back, but Kenneth Walker's played well. The thing about Penny is he was gaining more than 6 yards per pound ground game, really set this team up to not have to rely completely on Geno Smith's arm, and he was able to take his chances when they were ahead, moving ahead of the chains, ahead of the sticks. And so he has played better than I thought he would, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. The Chargers' defense against the run is not good, but again, you don't have Penny to rely on. We'll see if Walker can keep it going. Seattle's defense is bad. They're bad against the run. They're bad against the pass. Herbert might get Keenan Allen back this week. He's listed as questionable. The one problem for the Chargers, besides that run defense, is he still won't have his starting offensive left tackle to block for him. But this line was 6.5. Didn't like it at 6.5, but it's down to 5. They're starting to tempt me a little bit on the Chargers.
And just a correction, the Seahawks are getting 5 here. It's the Chargers -5
exactly.
on that one there too. Number 9, UCLA, and number 10, Oregon. Oregon, a 6.5 point favorite here. UCLA getting 6.5 points. You know what, Scotty? I look at this game and I go, wow, here's UCLA with their firepower, and here's Oregon starting to get their groove on, so to speak. This at Oregon, that's a lot of points, I feel, for this game. Oregon's -6.5.
Yeah, they were 6 yesterday. I kind of like Oregon at -6. It starts getting up over key numbers, 6.5, maybe gets to 7 on Saturday, but it has been a one-sided series. And you mentioned Oregon's been getting their mojo back after that tough loss down in Athens, Georgia. And you can't really take anything away from a team that loses in Georgia, gets knocked around, and they're not used to playing in that environment. But the offense is a well-oiled machine now, especially in Eugene. All starts up front. Guys, Oregon's offensive line, how'd you like to play behind this offensive line, Manuch? They've allowed a grand total of 1 sack this season. Even in that loss to Georgia, they didn't give up a single sack to the Bulldogs, despite 37 pass attempts. So, listen, they're outgaining their guests in Eugene by nearly 225 yards per game. I think they're still a little bit undervalued. UCLA is not. We're going to find out how good UCLA really is because the schedule has been extremely soft. And they've given up at least 31 points to 3 of its last 4 opponents. I think Oregon's going to beat them here by about 10. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout, It's going to be 31-14 at the half, but I think this is going to be about a 10-point win for the Ducks.
He's Scott Spreitzer, DocSports.com. You can also tweet him at Scott Wins. Joining us here on the right, Tour to guest time with Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B. All right, let me stand up here for the next one real quick. Put my hand over my heart. Number 17, Kansas State Fighting Wildcats at number 8, TCU. TCU Miners was it minus 3.5 last time I checked. 35-mile-an-hour winds there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That all going on. Did they factor that into that bad boy as well, too, there, Scotty?
I think they left the total a little bit too high when you figure it's going to be blown around like that. I know it's not as high as it probably would have been otherwise, but, people haven't really hit this total yet. But, I took the points with your alma mater. I took the points with the Cats in this week's game. And it scares you a little bit when you're talking about an 8 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. local time game for TCU. The crowd gets a little bit lubed and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is that, listen, as much as I like TCU, they have been involved in 4 straight big, intense games that went to the final minute in 3 of those, including last week's 2 overtime win over Oklahoma State. I know they blew the doors off Oklahoma, and that's part of this 4-game mix, but the intensity of preparing for that and then what happened makes this 4 games in a row that they've really had to be on high. Meanwhile, you got the rested Wildcats, extremely well coached. Adrian Martinez is playing as well as you could expect, has not thrown an INT all season. Got 4 solid players to throw to around him. Deuce Vaughn at running back. By the way, Martinez and Vaughn, they've gained over 1,200 yards at about 5.7 yards per pop. They're a handful. I went ahead and grabbed the 3.5.
Did you ever see this at Martinez up in Nebraska? You being the huge Nebraska fan you are, Scott?
All that potential since day one when he arrived there. And look, last year, he would look amazing and then make one massively huge mistake. And he's not made the mistake. I mean, part of it is coaching, but also it's the fact that I think he's really grown. He got out of that environment where, the fans are pretty cool to Martinez, even with all the mistakes. He's a great kid by all accounts. I mean, everybody you talk to in the Midwest, in Nebraska, or, now in Manhattan, talk about what a great kid he is. And he's got better coaching around him this year. So, he's just taking his game to the next level. He's not a superstar passer, but he's not making any mistakes this year.
Scotty, did I hear you say Texas Christian University might be a little lubed by 7 o'clock? That's kind of an oxymoron, right? Texas Christian University. They mix in a drink once in a while, too, I guess?
I was talking about Coke Zeros. I don't know where you're at.
Okay. My bad. I thought I heard something. I know you're coming from Vegas. That's just the assumption right there.
I got you. And the last one, Scott, we got to slip in one more game for the college folks out there. Number 24, Mississippi State at number 6, Alabama. We were wondering before we got on with you, 21 points for Bama against a good offense in Mississippi State. Well, why is that? We obviously understand Bama's going to come back from that loss to Tennessee, but 21 points is a lot.
Is that a misprint there, Scotty?
Well, a couple of reasons. Bama is 7-0 straight up and against the spread off a loss the last 7 times that they've lost outright. They won those 7 games by an average margin of 31 points per game. Then there's Saban versus Leach. And the last 2 years, Alabama has beaten Mississippi State by scores of 41-0 and 49-9. And that 40-point win over the Bulldogs last year followed Bama's loss to Texas A&M. And then you factor in, look at the top 3 power-rated teams in college football. Alabama right now is 3rd best when you look at the best power ratings in football. But here's what it is. It's Ohio State rated about a 98, Georgia 97, Bama 95. The next highest power-rated team after those 3 is Michigan, and they're 10 to 11 points lower than Alabama. Throw Mississippi State into the mix. Top 15 team in power rating, yet they are 15 points lower in power rating than Alabama on a neutral field. So you factor all of that in. You've got the Alabama bias where people are like, okay, well, Saban's going to get after his troops. So they just lost. They always win these games big off a loss, and that's why you come up with the 21-21.5. Listen, this team is doing things that we haven't seen, though, which scares you if you're going to lay those points, in that they commit a ton of penalties like they've done twice this season, Texas, and then, of course, in the loss. And they shoot themselves in the foot offensively like we saw against A&M. So I didn't lay it. I'm not going to play Mississippi State, But there's a whole lot of games tomorrow that I feel more comfortable being involved in than laying 21 with a team that's not really disciplined right now.
All right, Scott, let's work on those pickleball odds, okay? Whatever you do, we never might throw that at you, but you are the professor. That's why we ask you the questions to our you got the answers to our questions. So thank you so much for taking the time. Work on that pickleball line, would you?
I got to work on losing about 15 pounds before I take a pickleball court, that's for sure.
All right, Scotty, thank you so much.
Take care, guys.
Scott Spreitzer of DocSports.com. You can also tweet him at ScottWins. Well, make sure to tune in tomorrow for the only sports gambling show in Arizona, the only local sports gambling show in Arizona. Take the Points, presented by Casino Arizona. Live from the Sportsbook in the CAZ Sports Bar. Join Bauer, Gross, and Jax every Saturday from 11 to 1 as the guys give you uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. That's tomorrow at 11 right here on Fox Sports 910. Well, AZTV Channel 7 is your new home for college football here in Arizona, featuring schools that produce some of the game's best athletes, great football, high energy, halftime bands, and coverage you won't find on any other station. This week's game features Bethune-Cookman versus Mississippi Valley State. That all kicks off at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Well, up next, the most and least popular fast food chains, and you won't believe our Valley Chevy dealer's random fact of the day has to do with being penalized, Jax, for dropping a pass in football.
What?
Which you never did, I'm sure.
Oh, never.
That's all next. This is Fox Sports 910.
Did you know that Troy Aikman in only 6 years has passed for 16,303 yards? Did you know the career record for most hits is 4,256 by Pete Rose, who was not in the Hall of Fame?
Do you know that my next door neighbor had 3 rabbits?
Now to Fox Sports 910's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B to give you the random facts of the day driven by your Valley Chevy dealers. Find new roads at your Chevy dealer. For a dealer near you, head to valleychevy.com.
Well, our Valley Chevy dealer's random fact today might apply to you, Jax. Here's our random fact. When football first started many, many years ago, there was a 15-yard penalty if a player dropped a pass.
Wow.
And the other team got the ball if a pass hit the ground without being touched. Therein lies, that's why they probably didn't throw a lot of passes, because if it was an incomplete pass, the other team got the ball. So when you dropped the pass, what was your penalty, Jax, back in Montana? Catching the slot/wide receiver. What were you, slot, outside, wide?
Both, yeah. I was more of a slot, but yeah, we usually do like 10, 15 push-ups when you drop a pass in practice, but nothing like a 15-yard penalty or giving the other team the ball back. Now I understand why people reference the old ground and pound offense. I understand now.
That's exactly right. That's why you didn't see a lot of passing until that was eliminated. You imagine that? If you drop like 3 or 4 passes, if you're a quarterback and having a bad day, 4 or 5 incompletions, hell, by the time the game is over, it's like 75-65 back in those days. So there was a lot of ground and pound many, many years ago. Well, the most and least popular fast food chains in every state. This is interesting. Someone checked Google reviews to find the top-rated fast food chain in each state and the one that gets the worst reviews, okay? So Chick-fil-A ranks first overall, and Papa John's ranks last. Okay, so here's the highlights. So Chick-fil-A ranks first overall. It's the top-rated spot in 34 different states. Papa John's is last. It's the lowest rated in 16 states. Now, follow me on this now. Chick-fil-A, also the top-rated chicken spot in almost every state. I might agree with that to a point. Raising Cane's ranks higher in Alaska and Hawaii. The 3 lowest rated are KFC, Popeyes, and Wingstop. Now, I'm more of a Church's fan. Probably Church's, KFC, and then Popeyes for me. But I think Popeyes chicken sandwiches are probably the best in the marketplace.
Yeah, they're good. I think they're a little overhyped. For me personally, I'm a big fan of Chick-fil-A. The nutrition's there. They're probably healthier than, I guess, a Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Are we talking healthy food for fast food right now?
I mean, healthier fast food, I guess. Yeah, I'm actually not shocked about Papa John's being last, because they used to be the pizza for the NFL. You used to see Peyton Manning and Papa John every single commercial of every single channel, but now you rarely see it.
America's favorite fast food burger spot is Five Guys. McDonald's and Burger King received the worst reviews on Google. Now, Five Guys, I used to like Five Guys, but I think it's $12.95 a burger.
I agree.
Plus $5.65 a shake, and you throw the fries in there for $3.45. You feed a family of 3, $55 out the door. Honest to God, this happened probably 4 months ago when they raised their prices. I said, I got 3 burgers, 3 shakes, and 3 fries for my wife and my mother-in-law and me. I said, what was that? Yeah, it's $55. I said, excuse me? Because, we raised our prices. We bumped our prices 5 to 10%. This is going back 5 to 6 months. I said, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Last time I've been to Five Guys, I'm sorry. They're good, but they're not that good to be charging that much money for an order.
Well, and even one burger doesn't really fill you up. So
no, it doesn't.
Feel like you got to get another burger. That's another $12, $13 right there. But for me personally, I like McDonald's for the price and what you're eating. You could get like 3 cheeseburgers for about $5.
Well, you're a young guy. You're on that budget. We're all on the budget. Trust me. But it's just not part of my repertoire right now. Speaking of pizza, Papa Murphy's gets the most stars. I've never heard of this before. Marco's Pizza? What's Marco's Pizza? I've never heard of them. They must be in the Midwest or back east. I've heard of Godfather's Pizza. It's big in the Midwest. And believe it or not, your favorite, Chuck E. Cheese, is the top-rated pizza place in 6 states. The lowest rated is Papa John's. So how many birthday parties did you go to Chuck E. Cheese growing up?
I'd say probably at least 20, 25.
Easy, right?
Yeah, that and Pump It Up. It's not it is a local I believe it was inflatable park or whatever they had in
Right,
Phoenix.
right.
They don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, Chuck E. Cheese. I'm surprised it's the top rated. Imagine being a 50-year-old or an adult being like, "Ooh, I'm really craving some pizza. Let's go to Chuck E. Cheese."
And they just found out, those balls you jump into, they're all over the place. Yeah, don't put those under a microscope. Talking about viruses, bacterias.
Gross.
I mean, who would ever thought? You just jumped in there with your kids, right? You put your kids in there. Well, hell, no wonder they were sick for 3 weeks after they went to Chuck E. Cheese. It wasn't the pizza. It was the bacteria from all those balls. For Mexican food, I could see this: Chipotle, Qdoba, and Mo's All. I've never heard of Qdoba and Mo's All.
Qdoba is pretty good. It's kind of a Chipotle, but it's more. It's another version of it, I guess, more authentic. Not a lot of people have it, but yeah, Chipotle, universal.
Arizona. Here's the top-ranked fast food places here in Arizona.
3 minutes.
Top-rated fast food chain, Lamar's Donuts and Coffee.
Fire.
Never heard of it. Have you ever heard of Lamar's Donuts and Coffee?
They're these huge donuts that they have. They're about yay big. They're
Really?
glazed. Fire. They're very good. It's in the West Valley in Peoria, Glendale.
Okay. I've never heard of them. And then for burgers, it was In-N-Out with KFC and Papa John's coming in last in Arizona for least favorite fast food chain. I thought that was pretty interesting, but it's a pretty good donut place, right? Lamar's, huh?
Really good.
Which streaming service do you want the NFL to get the Sunday Ticket? Well, this is interesting. The NFL is moving Sunday Ticket from DirecTV to a streaming service beginning next year. And according to reports, the 4 major bidders to this point are ESPN Plus, Apple TV Plus, Amazon Prime, and YouTube.
2 minutes.
Now, we've got everything but ESPN Plus and YouTube. So if you had your druthers for you, Jax, does it make a difference?
I would say I feel like YouTube makes the most sense because ESPN, you got games on CBS and Fox.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they would appreciate their games being on an ESPN platform, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Amazon Prime's already been done. YouTube is just easy to access. And I mean, I like it because that way you don't have to have DirecTV. Everyone can pretty much get Sunday Ticket.
Well, in a poll of more than 5,000 NFL fans, 35% wanted to go to YouTube, like you. 29% wanted to go to Amazon Prime. 20% on ESPN Plus, and 16% would prefer Apple TV. Now, the price is expected to be similar to what it is now. It would probably be an added premium fee on top of the regular subscription fees. I mean, they're always feeding you to death. I mean, that's the one thing. So I don't have the YouTube. We've got all the others, but Amazon Prime,
Netflix,
Netflix,
1 minute,
Hulu, all that kind of stuff. Well, Random Fact today is brought to you by Your Valley Chevy Dealers. Your Valley Chevy Dealers, serving the Valley for over 80 years. ValleyChevy.com. Well, are you in the need for a new patio grill set for your backyard? It's your chance to win one right now. Just text PEAKS to 55678. That's PEAKS to 55678. And you'll be entered in to win a customized backyard grill patio set courtesy of Twin Peaks, Blue Moon, and Coors.
30.
You can enter once a day. Standard message and data rates apply. Well, coming up in hour number 3, look at the top stories of the day. We'll break down the Cards win over the Saints and take a look at some of the top college games going on this weekend. That's all next on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, live from Wright Toyota out here on Fox Sports 910.
with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900 and always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Guys are hot.
On Fox Sports 910.
Hour number 3 of Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Out here at Wright Toyota. Jack's filling in for the fellas. I'm Dan Manucci. It's a little football Friday. It's actually excited for the weekend. Cardinals mixed in a win last night. First home victory in, 362 days, give or take a couple days here and there. You got the Sun Devils taking on the Stanford Cardinal up there in Palo Alto. So are you feeling? We're going to break down some of the top college games in college football. So do you start to feel it by Friday? You've been a former Montana Grizz wide receiver.
I'm not going to lie. I was feeling it yesterday when the Cardinals played. I was driving home after the radio show. I was listening to some hype music, getting me fired up for the Cardinals. But, yeah, I mean, the boys in the Montana Grizzlies are flying to Sac State to play them tomorrow on ESPN2 at 8 p.m.
Get a little love, a little ESPN big sky love with that. Yeah, I got to tell you what, and again, thanks to the folks at Twin Peaks out there, Glendale. It was Saints fans were late in coming. Cardinal fans were there in droves. And as we wrapped up the show, we left about, 4:15-ish, somewhere in there. People are starting to disperse, get over there early, jam-packed. And I'm the same way. On game day, when you're that close to the game, whether you're going or not, you can kind of feel the vibe.
Yeah.
And it seemed as though the Cardinals, they needed that win last night. They definitely needed that win. It was one of those games where there was a lot riding on that game. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury's job was riding on or not. We don't know because they end up winning that game 42-34. But it just seemed like you could feel the hype. We talked to a lot of the Cardinal fans inside of Twin Peaks yesterday, and they felt the same way. They said, look, the offense has got to get going. Kyler Murray's got to get going. Cliff Kingsbury, he's got to get this offense going. So there was a lot of things I felt on the line, must-win victory. But I felt a lot of desperation going into that game last night.
Yeah, and it shows you the impact that DeAndre Hopkins has on this offense. 92% of snaps is what he played last night, 61 plays out of 66. And it's rewarding, but it's also it also sucks that DeAndre Hopkins is the piece that you need to keep your offense going, because when you get down the line, when you play the Jalen Ramseys, when you play the guy from the Broncos, Surtain, guys that are better corners that aren't the third string, fourth string practice squads like the Saints had, how are the Cardinals going to adapt and adjust against those kind of defenses?
All right, let's get to it. Our top stories going on in hour number 3 of Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Time for the top local and national stories of the hour. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's no better place in the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
That's right. They are brought to you by the new Sportsbook in the CAZ Sports Bar, now open in Casino, Arizona. Take the points. We'll be going on mañana between 11 and 1. My partner in crime right here, Jackson Mike Gross. We're going to that tomorrow from 11 to 1. Anything special? The uncensored thoughts of taking the points tomorrow.
We'll break down the college football slate going on tomorrow. We'll also update you for those early bettors on the 9 a.m. games as well. And then we got Damian Anderson from PHNX. He used to be a host of the Take the Points back in the day with Roc.
Okay, all right. Now, every time I tune in, you guys have got this breakfast thing going on. What's the big breakfast over there? Because you make me hungry, because I'll be wrapping up the quarterbacks, and I'll be popping in the car about right around 12:30-ish. I'll catch the last 45 minutes, half hour. You guys made me hungry. Can I just come over and hang out and just have breakfast?
Oh, yeah. They got the breakfast sandwich. They got the breakfast burrito, steak and eggs. They do it right in the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona. Every single Saturday, they cook us up some breakfast, and we always review. We're big fans of the breakfast sandwich.
I can tell, man. Is it if I show up, is it the breakfast on you?
Yeah. I'll treat you.
All right, Ben. You got that back there in the studio? You got that on tape?
Yeah, it sounds like to me that he's going to partner off of the CAZ Sports Bar helping him out and say it's him.
I think that fight's fair, one way or the other.
I'll treat you.
As we take a look at some of the top stories that are going on right now, again, obviously the Cardinals, winning their first road game, and I'm assuming their first home game in forever, since it's been 362 days since they've won that. I got to tell you what, if not for the 2 interceptions by Marco Wilson and Isaiah Simmons, the other interception by Hamilton, this New Orleans Saints offense was clicking on all cylinders. And it's almost, I call them the JV team of the National Football League, that being the Saints. Because you mentioned earlier, they were picking up guys off the streets to go play cornerback. But the Cardinals, they found the opportunistic ways, got the interceptions, got a couple of nice drives finally at the end of the first half and the second half to win this game going away. The first time in 4 years that a Cliff Kingsbury team has scored over 40 points. 14 of those coming from the defense. Yeah. So is there an asterisk by that when you say 42 points, Cliff Kingsbury, big offense? But 14 of those are off pick sixes. Yeah. So you still give him credit, you still give him the love?
I do a little bit just because he adjusted. I thought this was the best game adjustment-wise and play-calling-wise that he's had since he's been coaching.
I would agree with that.
I love how he incorporated the George more. I'm looking at the play percentage here. The top receiver that played the most was obviously DeAndre Hopkins at 92%. Right. Next was Rondale Moore at 89%. And then it was Dortz with 53%, and then Rodney Anderson. No A.J. Green. Now
that's interesting. No receptions, no A.J. Green whatsoever.
No plays in the game.
And here's the thing. You and I talked about this yesterday. Where's Greg Dortch been? You and I and Jimmy were like, okay, that kid came out like ball on fire originally. So it's interesting. I don't know if he was hurt or not. And if he was, they had to report it. We never saw any reports of him being injured. And Dortch, the 1 touchdown catch. And then again, what kind of defense is the Saints running? You got trips left. He's a second receiver. They flip it to him. He walks into the end zone basically untouched. But it's interesting. Are they phasing A.J. Green out now that they have Robbie Anderson is with this team? He played, 7, 8, 9 plays?
12 plays.
12 plays. And that's what I figured. He would just be in there as kind of a take-it-off, over-the-top kind of guy. But just to see where they go move forward with A.J. Green's going to be interesting. But we saw not big yards in the passing game, but effective yardage in the passing game.
Yeah, 1,000% agree with that. And it was cool to see Kyler Murray adjusted on the fly, that slant route like you mentioned to Dortch. The 3rd and 8 with Eno Benjamin converting it to a run instead of throwing it, which I thought was a very bold read by him.
Okay, I will also say this. I always treat my quarterbacks, and I saw this in Kyler Murray yesterday. When you scramble and move, keep your eyes up the field. He scrambled and moved to his right and threw that ball down the field about 20 yards to Rondale Moore. And I'm like, where you? Oh. He saw him. But, I mean, it was a safe throw. He didn't throw back across the grain. But I think that's part of the growth of Kyler Murray is rolling out to his right or his left and keeping his eyes up. And they also, I think Cliff had to be listening to me yesterday on the show. Had to. Bootlegged him. He waggled him a couple times. Hey, Cliff, thanks for listening. I appreciate that. They finally boot and waggled Kyler Murray yesterday. Got him away from the rush and just showed a different look. But his scramble, throwing the ball down the field, I saw some growth from Kyler Murray yesterday. Not the greatest of games, but fairly accurate. Didn't really force anything, I thought, and utilize his legs when he had to.
And the scramble moves as a wide receiver, too, that's how you get more open against those DBs because they don't know where you're going. And we saw that yesterday with Andy Dalton and Chris Olave. But my question to you, Manuch, is we saw Kyler Murray in the pocket at some points, and for me personally, I feel as if he's better outside of the pocket. When he was in the pocket, you could tell the pressure got to him.
Sure, and I think that's the one thing. That's his last step of his growth, is learning to have success, hang in the pocket,
3 minutes,
your reads, and if anything, okay, throw it away. Just throw the ball away, because I really believe that every time he takes off, even though he may have success, like the throw to Rondale Moore, that it kind of disrupts the passing rhythm and passing game. Go to your first, second, third. Now, he did check down a couple times. I mean, to Eno Benjamin a couple times. He found Zach Ertz as his secondary receiver. So there's signs of growth. But if they're going to have him develop into that complete quarterback, he definitely is going to have to learn. Hey, real quick, I want to go over the Christian McCaffrey trade that happened during the game yesterday. First and foremost, before you break it down for us, Jax, The odds in Vegas for the Niners title odds and win it all was 16-1. Then they dropped to 14-1. Then they ended up, as the night ended, 12-1. Now that Christian McCaffrey is a San Francisco 49er. And basically, the Niners gave away everybody but the baby in the next year's draft.
Yeah, so the Panthers acquired a second-round pick in 2023, a third-round pick in 2023, a fourth-round pick in 2023, as well as a fifth-rounder in 2024. So the Panthers looking to rebuild and gain some draft picks for next year's draft.
It's overvalued on the sake of the 49ers. But I think it just goes to show you, I would probably say this. In the National Football League, if you've got guys out there that you can plug and play and you have an opportunity to win it all now, that's what you do. Because the draft choices you can never guarantee, whether it's a second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, that they're going to pan out. Now, your second, third rounders will probably pan out, or you'll give them that opportunity. But, boy, that's, with the trade of Robbie Anderson to the Cardinals, what, a 6th and 7th rounder for next year. You pretty much have your draft set if you're the Carolina Panthers for next year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how McCaffrey and Shanahan kind of collide. I felt as if McCaffrey, ever since he's been in Carolina, he's had Matt Rule, he's had Ron Rivera, no real offensive genius like the 49ers do with McShanahan.
Hey, we're in the second quarter of the NFL season, and our 22nd year of hosting Monday Night Football at Casino, Arizona has been a hit. We call it the Monday Night Tailgate. Win cash just for watching football as we host multiple free cash giveaways like our kickoff progressive jackpot, which is around $1,400. Plus, you get 2 sets of squares worth $25 each. And again, free. And depending on the week, we have more cash with the in-game proposition or football bingo win cash just for watching. Football with us is on again at CAZ Sports Bar and the CAZ Sports Book. Again, the jackpot already over $1,400. We hope to see you this coming Monday as the Bears are in New England to face the Patriots. Doors open at 4 o'clock. Coming up, what will be some of the top games in college football? And one of the top players in college football is closing it down already to get ready for the NFL draft. That's right, shutting it down, and then only halfway through the year. That's next on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910 as we're live from Wright Toyota.
6-time The Drive with Jody Ayler, now in mornings, Monday 6 to 10 on Fox Sports 910.
From 40. On the way,
No idea why that works. That's clearly in the 330 spot. I'll move it back. You guys are hot.
And here they come.
I gotta love that. Thank you, CBS. The game-winning field goal for the Tennessee Vols to finally beat Alabama. What was that, the 15th try or something along those lines?
Yeah, it's been like 16 years since the Tennessee Volunteers have beaten Alabama. Nick Saban's never lost to Tennessee.
You know what? A lot of folks say, he kicked the knuckleball. Well, the reason why that ball knuckled on him, because big number 47 got his big paw on there at the very last, got like maybe a fingertip, because it changed the flight of the ball to go sideways. So McGrath, when he hit that, he's like, oh my gosh. I'm shocked that he got through. But he hurdled the right guard and got over the top and just basically gets over the top, reaches there and tips it. Lo and behold, the fans there at Tempe, the Tennessee Vols, storm the field. They take down the goalpost and take them to the river. They take them to the Tennessee River and dump them in the river.
I wish folks were watching you right now because I didn't want you to pull a muscle there, Manuch.
I know.
Standing up now. So.
I got a little excited from that whole type of thing. Well, we thought we'd take a look at some of the key games that are going on in college football. And we got the game lines courtesy of SI Sportsbook. And these are mostly early games, but some of the top 25 football teams that are off this week. Georgia is on a bye. Michigan, number 4. Number 12, USC. They probably need a bye after that Utah loss.
Yeah.
Number 15, Utah. Number 18, Illinois. Number 19, Kentucky. And number 22, North Carolina. And number 23, North Carolina State. They are all off. So some of the top games tomorrow, we'll start with the early ones first. Iowa at number 2, Ohio State. Now, this one, that'll be at 9 o'clock. That'll be on Fox. The point spread currently at -30. Now, we know that Iowa has a decent defense, but they absolutely have no offense whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because they've had the same quarterback. I believe it's Spencer Petras, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
for about a couple 5 or 4 years there. But, yeah, I mean, Ohio State, what they're doing on offense, C.J. Stroud, 24 touchdown passes. Without his best wide receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba has been hurt since the Notre Dame game. Marvin Harrison Jr. has stepped up. Ibuka has stepped up as well. But, I mean, this Ohio State offense, the 30 points here is a lot. But, I mean, Ohio State's just going to run Iowa.
Well, and you think about the showdown that could be. So when you get in the meat of the matter with Michigan coming up and the Penn States of the world coming up, you'll figure out how good this Ohio State team really is. Now, this is interesting, folks. UT Martin and number 3 Tennessee. That game will be at 9 o'clock on SEC, the Sports Southeast Conference Network. There's no point spread. This one is absolutely off the board. Now, we had Scott Spreitzer on at 2:30. We forgot to ask him about this because we had some other games pending. Main reason why this is off the board, you think, Jax?
Is there a spread that they can't – like, is there a maximum spread that they have to have, I guess, for this game that maybe they wanted to go – except maybe -50 here?
Well,
I don't know what they wanted to do.
You know, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know as far as the point total. Is it -35 or -40? You would think there'd be at least an over-under. You would at least suspect there'd be an over-under, but there's no spread there. Now, this will be a good game, folks. Number 14, Syracuse, will be a number 5, Clemson. That game's tomorrow at 9. That'll be on ABC. Is this the first litmus test for the Syracuse Orange to take it on the Clemson Tigers?
Yeah, they played NC State pretty well last week. They won 24-9. NC State team that doesn't have their starting quarterback with Devin Leary, top NFL draft candidate for this upcoming draft. But, yeah, this is a big game for Syracuse. Obviously, they're bowl eligible now, and their head coach, Dino Babers, mentioned that after the game. He said, hey, we're finally bowl eligible, but, hey, coach, let's try to win an ACC championship. You got Clemson next week at home. It'll be a tough game for the Orange here. 14 points. I'm in favor of the 14 points towards Syracuse. Syracuse has the number 8 defense in all of the NCAA.
Well, and this is at Clemson, too, so they're a huge, huge test. I'm going to go down here to number 7, Ole Miss will be at LSU. That game will be at 12:30 tomorrow on CBS. Currently, the point spread is LSU -2.5. This is basically, I think, could get close to a pick 'em after it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've seen Ole Miss offense struggle recently. They haven't really gotten things clicking. They almost lost to Auburn. They almost lost to, I believe, before that
They
was
should have got beat by
Arkansas.
Kentucky as well.
Should have got beat by Kentucky, like you mentioned. So we'll see if Jackson Dart can click it with Lane Kiffin here. He hasn't been playing too hot. Jalen Daniels and LSU, they lost last week as well. So it'll be interesting to see. It's a tough place to play down in Death Valley.
Jackson Dart, another former USC quarterback amongst the USC. This game I'll be very intrigued to watch at 12:30 on Fox. Number 9 UCLA and number 10 Oregon. Point spread currently Oregon -6.5. And as Scott Spreitzer also said, he likes Oregon probably by 10. He took.
This is your dog too.
Yeah, this is my dog as well. So I think just the way UCLA is playing with the experience with DTR at quarterback and the running back. I don't know, but going into Oregon, it's tough. I get that. But one of the loudest places I've ever broadcast from, never played there, but I broadcasted there when I did the Sun Devil broadcast. Very, very loud. But I just got to believe that this undefeated UCLA team has finally got it at least to cover more than anything.
Yeah, when you talk about a UCLA team, that's in about 2 years, they're going to the Big Ten. A great impression here being 6-0. Chip Kelly coming back to his old school that he used to coach at.
The old stomping grounds.
The old stomping grounds. He's got a quarterback in DTR that he's experienced with for his last 4 or 5 years. Usually when he was at Oregon, he had Marcus Mariota for about 2 or 3 years and then moved on to the next quarterback 2 or 3 years. So it's going to be interesting. I like this UCLA team like you mentioned. I like DTR's swagger. I love he's the underdog. He was picked last as the top. He was picked 12th in the Pac-12 out of all the quarterbacks preseason, and he's probably performed almost every single quarterback in the Pac-12.
Now, this next game is very interesting for your Oklahoma State Cowboy alumni. Listen closely. Number 20, Texas, at number 11, Oklahoma State. Now, this game will be on 12:30 on ABC as well, too. One of the top defensive linemen for Oklahoma State, Evers, I believe it is, he's decided to shut it down for Oklahoma State and move on and get ready for the NFL draft.
Yeah, he's had history with some shoulder injuries in his first couple years at Oklahoma State. He's a 6-year player, so he's been there forever. He's had 26 career starts. Now, he doesn't have an ESPN draft rating right now, and not a lot of people do, but, I mean, he started every single game last year. He's a dominant defensive lineman for this team, and they're going to have to adjust without him for the rest of the season.
I think this is interesting with Texas is ranked 20 and Oklahoma State 11. Texas is -6. So Oklahoma State is getting the points. Now, that one to me, and it's at Oklahoma State as well, too. Now, did something happen with Texas the last couple weeks that I missed here? I mean, did Sark bring in some other quarterbacks and running backs and all the above? Did BJ become that Heisman Trophy, which he is, outstanding running back? Why Texas -6?
It's interesting here. I also question this as well with you, Manuch, because Texas barely beat Iowa State last week.
Exactly.
They won 25-21 with their starting quarterback Quinn Ewers back in the lineup as well. Yeah, I don't know why they're favored -6. I think this is a bounce back game for Oklahoma State. They've been playing well up to this point besides the TCU game.
You think it's because
2 minutes.
They beat Oklahoma 49-0? That there might be a little juice
yeah,
still with that one there. And then we got to talk about this one. Number 17, my K-State Cats. And number 8, TCU. That'll be in Dallas-Fort Worth at TCU. Wind gusts should be close to 35 miles an hour. That'll be 5 o'clock here, our time on FS1. TCU -3.5. All my TCU buddies out there listening, my former fine wide receiver Steve Williams, MCC, went on to TCU. He's going to have to give me – I'll take 5. I'll take 5 on that. It's going to be a hell of a game. I think Adrian Martinez for Kansas State is playing the best. You got Vaughn at running back. But then you got a hell of a defense with this TCU team.
The biggest thing for Adrian Martinez is taking care of the football as well. What have you been most impressed with him? And you said Klein is the offensive coordinator or quarterback's coach.
Colin Klein.
Colin Klein.
He's the offensive coordinator / QB coach. And of that, taking care of the ball, being productive with his feet, and not making those big mistakes. He made it at Nebraska. So that's something I'll definitely be looking for there. Yeah, that's pretty much, you look at some of the other ones. Minnesota at number 16, Penn State -5. We talked about Mississippi State at Alabama, -21. That's, I'd probably stay away from something like that. Probably not going to go down that road anything like that. Well, it's back, our 15th annual Twin Peaks Fan Pick'em contest powered by Blue Moon and Coors Light. Just pick each week's pro games for weekly man cards. And this year's grand prize is either a trip to Hawaii or $5,000. All you got to do is just head to fanpick'em.com to get signed up. Well, what is it this Cardinals defense is doing that has them as the catalyst for winning these games? Former defensive lineman Michael Bankston breaks it down for us next on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910. That's next on Roc and Manuch, live from White Toyota.
This is
Michael Bankston just picking that ball up and
number 62 on the Arizona Republic's top 100 all-time Cardinal players. A great follow on Twitter at Big Bank 90. Michael Bankston. Now on Roc and Manuch on Fox Sports 910. On FM at 99.9 HD2.
You can take that to the bank. That's right. He's a resident defensive lineman, pass rusher extraordinaire, Michael Bankston. now joining us here on the right Toyota guest line. Banks, it's Jax, Jay and Roc are out this afternoon. When I hear your clip from the Cardinals, I don't know if that's Isaiah Simmons running for a touchdown. That's one big Banks. He must have watched some of your clips back in the day to see how you get in the end zone, right?
Well, one thing he did do that better than me. He didn't fumble the ball.
Banks, did you fumble
the ball? But you know what? The thing about it is that the defense showed up, and the defense been playing pretty decent overall. But those 2 pick six changed the game, changed the big momentum. And Manuch, you know how that is. You know, you need that kind of energy to prepare yourself, especially as a Thursday night game. You know what? You're in prime time, and you know you need to show up. Offense started moving the ball, defense started playing, and then we got a big win at the end of the day.
You know, Banks, one of the things I said yesterday, the guys are saying, Manuch, what are the keys to the game? Well, I could book it every day, every which way, but Sunday, right? I said, look, energy and execution, E squared. And the Cardinals brought that. I mean, they start off a little rough, but I thought the energy and execution, especially on both sides of the ball, especially defensively, was what came to fruition in that Thursday night game. Because Thursday nights, you know, Banks, you got to force that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a short time that you got to get ready to play after a Sunday game, and then you got to be prepared. But when you're in prime time, you know, you got to show up for everybody. Mom is watching, you know, that your family's watching, your friends are watching, your college teammates are watching, and see how you're doing. And then you got some great plays, especially from the defense, as you indicated earlier, with those 2 pick six. But you know, one thing I also liked was the fact that the offense started moving the ball a lot more. We got a little more variations of the plays than we had before, and it means a lot. And of course, that happened because we got D-Hop in there, and we're seeing that we're gonna get him started, and hopefully Kyler Murray has something to shoot for because he didn't have anything before, for the most part.
Banks, is that when you see a guy like D-Hop come back on the defensive side and the defensive rim, does that give you guys a little juice like, hey, look, we're getting more of a repertoire to our offense? Does that give you guys some juice to pick it up even more so on the defensive side?
Well, Manuch, you're a quarterback, so if you think about it, what would you rather be? You'd rather be on the field. If you're the field, then we scoring points, get first downs. But if the defense on the sideline, it's a lovely thing. If the defense does that too much, it's a problem. So when we have Kyler Murray having some more targets, and we know we got Robbie Anderson from Carolina that's going to boost up the offense, especially since Hollywood got his foot hurt, and he's going to be out for a few weeks. So hopefully this is a continuation. We'll see what they do. I mean, I love the defense being on the sideline, even though defense wins championship, and I'm always going to be about defense because I'm a defensive player. But at the end of the day, if we get some points on the board, it makes a huge difference. We still got to stop starting off so slow because those field goals in the red zone is not always going to win ball games. We got to do 7 in the red zones.
Banks, what is your assessment of the Cardinals' defensive line so far through these first 7 games? Their pass rush last night, no sacks for this defensive line, but I thought they controlled the running game and controlled the line of scrimmage during last night's game.
Well, I mean, did you watch and Gerdak and all those guys, Zach Allen, those guys go up there and you know what? As long as you are putting some pressure, and those guys are the ones that are causing those interceptions. It's not always the idea of the guys in the right place, especially in the secondary. It's the fact that he has to throw off his back foot. He has to throw before he wants to throw because everything is about timing. You know that as well. A lot of things are about timing. So if you disrupt timing, you'll actually done their job. So hopefully the Cardinals continue to put some pressure on there. And the defense, I mean, think about it, even the Carolina game, those guys kept winning the game. It actually, when you think about it, a low-scoring game. But defense did their job. So hopefully Vance Joseph continue to put those pressures on the guys, put those guys in the right position, and hopefully we start getting those sacks because we do need those sacks. And those D linemen, if they want to get paid, and you know this as well as I do, you're going to have to get those sacks.
Michael Bankston, former Cardinals defensive end, joins us. When you played, did you have any scuffles with any coaches, kind of like what Kyler and Cliff had last night? What do you make of that?
You know, I didn't I didn't like that transition or that moment in time. I understand it though, because one person thinking this is a better way to run the offense, the other person saying do it my way. Carlos sees something different because he's on the field. But at the end of the day, you know what? They scheme things. If you got a play call, which is your head coach, if he's an offensive play caller, you got to still follow through. Hopefully, everybody execute at the end of the day. And if you think about it, if you all never execute, it doesn't honestly mean that any play that you run, you should be successful. And you got to believe in that. And so Chris is saying, you know what, believe in what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to tell you, like I've been saying, and I've been on the radio for some time, I think it's still too generic. I think there's a lot more misdirection, a little more RPOs, anything that's going to give the team a little something to think about on the defense side. If we're on the defense side, know what you're doing, it's going to be in your ears back and have a good day on the defense side. So we need a little more delusional plays to make sure we can get some opportunities for Zach Ertz to go down the field. Right now, D Hops to go down the field. And then also we need the run game to get going.
He's Michael Banks, the former defensive lineman for the Arizona Cardinals and Cincinnati Bengals, joining us here on the right to guest side with Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B. Is Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons starting to get it, Banks, when you watch them? Are they reading and reacting versus thinking, reading, and reacting? Your thoughts on these last two, the young guys, the last 3 games?
Well, I mean, you can see that their play is getting better. They're not reading and reacting like you said, because you got a short period of time to go up there and read plays, but you got to have that pre-snap read. And I think their football IQ is getting better overall, and they're getting to the football. To the football play better, and then they can see and read offenses, because you got to think about it. We got 5
Don got hit
already, and then all you need to know is where they at, where they're going to go, and how many different patterns they can run in the position they are, and then you set yourself accordingly. And then for Xavier Collins, he has to be that man because he's in the middle.
I think he was trying to drop it in. It was like a soft cover 3.
Control not just the defensive line, but also the secondary, because he's the Mike in the middle.
And to that question, that leads me to that.
The first one was terrible.
Banks joining us here on the right to guest side. Do you think this defense? You watched Zach Joseph the last few games. Vance Joseph, I'm sorry. The last few games run this defense. He can run a lot of 4-3, Banks. A lot of 4-3. Do you think they're more adept with the 4-3? I mean, obviously with Zach Allen and J.J. Watt, but it seems those linebackers do read and react with the 3-man linebacker set.
Well, I mean, I'm always partial to the 4-3. I mean, I played all defenses, the 3-4 as well as the 4-3. I'm still partial to the 4-3 because if you can set the edges, then you can have your linebackers flow a lot quicker. I know when the one thing about the 3-4 is more of a disguise, and then you supposed to have more of a athletic players on the field at one time. But if you could set your edges and then you only make them one direction as far as running, and then that's a huge plus for your defense. So it's a gap sign defense, no matter if it's 3-4 or 4-3. And I think when Vance Joseph understand that he has a caliber of player, especially Isaiah.
You know what my favorite play is? Throwing a fade pattern to a 5'7" wide receiver.
And when Zaven Collins gets into his own, it's going to be better for him to run that 4-3 more so than that 3-4.
Thanks. When you look at this defense last night, what were some positives that you saw from the defensive line, the linebackers, and secondary that you think this Cardinals team can build on from games to come?
Well, I was there last, and one thing I always love, I mean, if you can go 3 and out, we always say win the third down percentage because you want to be able to get your offense back on the field regardless of what's going on. And so I see those guys get those 3 and outs. Now, one thing I did was suspect is the fact that we get those long runs that we shouldn't have. And regardless if it's a quarterback or if it's a running back, we need to work more on stopping the run so we can rush the passer so you can make most teams one-dimensional. I think that those guys
Hey, find yourself a God-fearing woman.
Cool, but we need to make sure we get home at the end of the day and get those sacks so we can be somebody efficient. And we want to take it to the next level. Right now, we're 3-4. out of after 7 games. We got a long ways to go if we're going to try to make a playoffs, especially in the NFC West.
Well, Banks, the team's only a half game out. Christian McCaffrey going to San Francisco with the trade there. But the Cardinals, like, as you said, defense win championships. They get that offense on track earlier in the games. Who knows what could happen over the next 4 or 5 games. But always a pleasure. We will talk to you in the next couple of weeks, Banks. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Manuch and Jackson, keep it up. We're talking to you. Let's go Cards at the end of the day.
Let's go Cards. Michael Banks, the big bank. Well, Michael Banks is driven by All City Towing. All City Towing continues to grow and is hiring. Head to allcitytowing.com as they currently have immediate full-time positions available that have incredible benefits, including a 401k program with a generous company match. The fastest way to apply is online at allcitytowing.com. You need a backyard patio grill for your place? It's your chance to win one right now. Just text PEAKS to 55678. That's PEAKS to 55678, and you'll be entered in to win a custom backyard grill patio set courtesy of Twin Peaks, and Coors Light. You can enter once a day. Standard message data rates apply. Well, coming up, it's our Learn and Roll one call. That's all next on Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
As you crunch the numbers, call of the day. If you're looking for a full-service law firm, just make one call. That's all. 602-977-1900. Lerner and Rowe, voted Arizona's best law firm.
Dalton steps up. Picked off at the 40-yard line. Isaiah Simmons. Simmons down the sideline. Simmons inbounds. Simmons all the way. Murray.
Guys are hot.
Threads it. Ertz.
What's on tap? Powered by 72 Soul. A look at the top sports action tonight on TV. At our price, a higher price at 72 Soul. Now.
So just goes to show you, first or second round pick versus a sixth or seventh round pick, or even a free agent, that the value that some of these quarterbacks have in the national football. Yeah, and people are questioning when they might go on Chase Edmonds, rather than bring Chase Edmonds back. You know, naturally, it kind of reminds me of Chase Edmonds in that aspect. Great to see him catch the ball and run the ball as well, and then use the play. So, you like the next week, and we'll start to make this up on Monday. Cardinals on it, Minnesota Vikings. I think this is a great weekend. You got 10 days. You get yourself healthy. Get this mass unit on these questionable players on the train. Get them healthy. Get yourself ready to go because you look at this Cardinals the schedule moving forward. You got Minnesota. You mentioned a little bit earlier. You got Cleveland. Pretty good team of there. A good offense. And then they got the defense to work with. And right now, they're turning to be the North Central champs, the North Division, the National Football.
3 minutes.
So I think that this is going to be a little tough task for the defense. And specifically this offense that they've got to fight for. Or even get on track. Well, I think they say the Rangers are bad in this league. And that's like a front. He's strong. He's interception last week. Was he said he went to the Cardinals early? I don't think they've done any. The Railway. It'll be interesting to see. Peterson, the D-Hop, know how to put them in. I'm excited. The Cardinals, great news. You want to play the best team in the NFC right now. Well, I think the Cardinals will have everything. It's very interesting. That plan will have to be hard, man. Well, with the 10 days and Robbie Anderson.
2 minutes.
I think we'll break that line, see more reps on play. March, but I think that's it, right? It's our last night. Is there something for everyone? Or March, Robbie Anderson, that being a phone, placing up on the back. And then for Canterbury, this offensive back, they're only 30. With this backup offensive back, these 10 days will be good for Robbie Anderson, too. Robbie Anderson, one day, rest of the whole thing, getting back from the field. Here's out. So Garcia's on the front, Garcia's on the left word. You know where Hernandez is, he's got some agent. AJ Humphries, reference to Robbie Anderson, the one. And I'm talking about the road. And I know the Browns spoke last night. They came on the road last night. What did you say about it? If they're going to make the run, they have a chance to get the draft. They got that right.
1 minute.
He's a guy who Scotty could discover blitzes, runs, also like that. I also want to mention James Conner. He also plays in the Arizona Cardinals. Has a couple of different weeks. I'd love to see him next week against the Rams. Where I get him getting more love, some verbal miles, more love. And just from being healthy, you got the 7-8 games. The halfway through the years is after 7 games versus team up. Very fortunate team with 3-4. As opposed to 2-5.
30. Seconds.